What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the High Tempo Sports Podcast. This is episode 207. Today, I am here alone right now. If you're watching on YouTube, this is different. This is the first time I have done a YouTube of just myself. It's a different kind of setup. It's very put together last second. So don't judge me, but this is going to be quick. Today I'm having a very special guest on the podcast, Matt Griffin. He is the co-host of the radio show that I produce on 101.1 The Beat. We go from 8 to 10 on Wednesday mornings and 1 to 3 on Fridays. So check that out. And if you aren't local, I tweet out the link every time we go live. So go check that out. But I'm having Matt on today's episode, and we are going to be doing the X Factor on every NBA team heading into the season. But before I did that, I was just sitting around thinking, like, I have not done my awards predictions. You know, without Easton on the podcast, this is something that we've done every year, where we predict the standings and we do awards and all NBA teams and everything. And if you, once again, we did the over-under for the entire Eastern Conference on the radio last Wednesday. That's also available on Spotify. I'll link it. But we're doing the Western Conference Wednesday morning. So check that out. So I figured I don't need to do standings, but I need to get my awards predictions out there specifically just so I can put them on TikTok. So that's what I'm doing quickly before we get into this episode with Matt. We're recording that later today, so I'm just going to put this in the beginning, probably just a quick 10-minute segment here, just going through my awards picks for the year. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Let's start off with the least important awards. Let's start off with Kia Clutch Player of the Year. Last year, obviously, De'Aaron Fox won this award, and it was the introduction of this award, the KCP award, as it is now called. Goes to the person that scores the most points in the fourth quarter, essentially. That is basically how this award works. Right now, the favorites for this award on the sports book that I'm looking at, because I'm not going to say, because that's free advertisement. The favorites are Damian Lillard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are tied at plus 1,000, Luka at plus 1,200, De'Aaron at plus 1,400. I'm going to go with a boring pick here. I'm going to pick Shai. I just think that last year, like, he already is one of the most clutch players in the NBA in general, and he just wasn't, like, on a team that won a ton of games. De'Aaron Fox was on a team that won a ton of games. And I think Shai is just going to be he already is one of the most clutch players in the NBA, so I'm going to pick him there at plus 1,000. Moving on, Coach of the Year, another award that basically just goes to, it doesn't go to, like, the best team. It goes to a team that shouldn't have been that good, that took a huge leap. So right now, the favorite to win Coach of the Year is Mark Dagnall of the OKC Thunder. You have Adrian Griffin, first-year head coach of the Bucks. So I guess that makes sense. Joe Mazzulla's there at third. But I'm going down the list here. Last year, I fell for the bait of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I went with Chris Finch at plus 2,000 this year. And I thought about doing it again, honestly. Like, I think Minnesota's going to have a really good year, but I'm not going to pick it. I'm going to go with Jamal Mosley at plus 2,200 here, head coach of the Orlando Magic. Talked about this on the Eastern Conference over-under picks, but I think that the Magic are that young team that's going to take the play-in, maybe potentially playoffs leap. So I'm going to rock with Jamal Mosley as the Coach of the Year award. All right, moving on. Sixth Man of the Year. This is an award it's cool. Interesting. The books got this one weird because there's some guys that I just don't think are going to come off the bench that are here. Chris Paul, fifth at plus 1,700. Right behind him, Drew Holiday at plus 1,900. Those are two guys that are going to start. Why would Drew Holiday come off the bench? Do they know something I don't? Norman Powell is the favorite at plus 900 for this. He kind of put his name in the race late last year. Same with Emmanuel Quickly. He's tied actually at plus 900. But I'm going with the guy that's third. Also, Malcolm Brogdon is fourth at plus 1,600. He might start too. I mean, who really knows what they're going to do there in Portland? But I'm going to go with the guy that is third in the odds, or technically second. Malik Monk at plus 1,200 of the Sacramento Kings. He was a flamethrower off the bench the last 2 years with LA, and then obviously with Sacramento last year. I think Sacramento is still going to be really good this year. They're going to score a lot of points. Malik Monk should average 15 to 18 points per game. So I think that Malik Monk being sixth man of the year, like it basically just goes to who gets the most buckets off the bench. Like a guy like Bobby Portis should have been in contention last year, basically averaged a double-double off the bench, but he just wasn't because he doesn't get buckets off the bench. Last year, Malik Monk averaged 13.5 points in 22 minutes per game for the Sacramento Kings. I think that goes up. I think that he gets to 15 points per game. Norm Powell seems like the safe pick. Quickly's going to get buckets, but the Knicks have a lot of guys, man. Like, they have a lot of guys, and if I'm Tom Thibodeau and it comes down to the nitty-gritty, you're probably playing DiVincenzo over Quickly, right? Like, just from a Tom Thibodeau standpoint, because he's the defensive guy. So, yeah, I am going to rock with Malik Monk as my sixth man of the year. Now we get into the more difficult ones. Like I said, I'm not taking too long on this because I want to get to the conversation with Matt, because I guarantee, we haven't recorded it yet, I guarantee it's going to be very, very long. So, most improved player, me and Easton did our breakout players list weeks back. I picked Cade Cunningham to win or to be the top breakout player of the year. Mikal Bridges, though, is the current favorite at plus 1,000, followed by Tyrese Maxey, Jordan Poole, Cade Cunningham, Anthony Simons. This is the worst award in sports, probably. It's just such a bad award in the standpoint of what is the criteria to win most improved player? Because to me, it should go to a guy that is going to take a leap that shouldn't. And it has. Last year, Lauri Markkanen, like a very well-deserving most improved player. Julius Randle 2 years ago. There's usually a guy like that every year, a guy that maybe gets on a new team that takes a big all-star level leap that no one expected. And that's what the most improved player should be. So who's that going to be this year? Just looking from an odds standpoint, I mean, because it usually is guys that are on new teams. I mean, it's just not often guys just take all-star leaps out of nowhere if they're not already young, budding stars, like a lot of these top guys are. But the top dude in the odds, as far as a guy that changed teams, Obi Toppin at plus 3,500. Looks like he's outside of the top 20 names. I like Bruce Brown as a guy that could do that. And then after Obi Toppin, I mean, it is slim pickings for guys that fit that criteria of like went to a new team, gonna ball out. DeAndre Ayton plus 5,000. I like the value there in DeAndre Ayton. He could easily average 23 and 11. And if Portland's any good, and he's an all-star, why is he not in the talk for most improved player? I think that definitely could be one. I think Cam Johnson kind of fits that because he's kind of on a new team. Same with Mikal Bridges, I guess. Mikal makes sense why he's going to be the favorite to win this award. I'm not going to pick Cade. I wrote down Cade. He's at plus 1,500. I would love for it to be Cade, but man, he was the first overall pick. I think his situation is a little bit different than the Ja season because Cade is coming off of an injury and also Cade's been doubted. Ja Morant wasn't doubted. We knew won Rookie of the Year over Zion Williamson. Obviously Zion was injured, but everyone was picking Zion to be the best rookie out of the class, and Ja was never doubted. And I just think that it's a little bit different criteria, even though Cade was the first pick and Ja was second. But people also just know that Cade's going to take a leap, and that's not what the award should be. It should not go to the favorite. Most improved should not go to the favorite unless they really do improve that much. Another guy that I like, Jalen Suggs, plus 7,500. I'm all in on the Jalen Suggs stock, man. He might not get a lot of playing time, but I'm all in on the Jalen Suggs stock. But my pick at the end of the day is going to be the guy that is a couple spots lower than Cade Cunningham at plus 1,800, Austin Reeves, to win the most improved player. I just think that we all know that Austin Reeves is way better than the numbers that he put up last year. Let me pull them up really quickly. Last year, Austin Reeves averages 13 points per game, 3 rebounds, and about 3.5 assists. But second half, Austin Reeves, and especially playoffs, Austin Reeves was phenomenal. And I just think that I just feel like by the time, the playoff series, first round averaged 16.5 points. Second round only averages 14. Western Conference Finals averages 21.5, and all with 5+ assists as well. Austin Reeves is going to average 17 points per game this year. He's going to average 4, maybe 5 assists, losing some playmaking with Westbrook, obviously, who has gone halfway through the season, but losing Dennis Schroeder as well, who's obviously not the greatest playmaker. But I just think that we're going to see a leap next year from Reeves, averaging 28.8 minutes per game last year. He's going to play 32 probably this year. They're going to need him. He's the third best player on the team. I don't see how he doesn't average at least 16 next year because he shoots the ball efficiently. Last year he shot 40% from 3 last year, and he shot 53% from the field. He might not get that again because I assume he'll have a lot more attempts, only average 3.5 3-point attempts last year. That probably goes up to a minimum of 5, I would guess. But Austin Reeves is going to be my pick for most improved player because he also has the back. He has the storyline, I guess, and that's MVP is more of the storyline award. But either way, I'm gonna go with Austin Reeves. All right, defensive player of the year is where I will go to next. Here's my thought process behind this award. So I'm picking between 2 guys. I still haven't chosen yet, but let me tell you who I'm picking between. We gotta remember this is the first year of 65 game limit to win awards and make All-NBA teams. Now, if you're a couple games short, they said you can appeal it and stuff. So that immediately, for me, knocks out some guys. Also, Jaren Jackson Jr., who is the favorite, who won it last year. I absolutely love Jaren Jackson Jr. He played 63 games last year and 78 the year before. That's a guy that has dealt with injury issues throughout his career, but the last 2 seasons has stayed relatively healthy. If he plays 63 again, I'm sure he would still qualify if he just appeals it. But Steven Adams, out for the entire season. It came out yesterday. He's having knee surgery. Very unfortunate. Jaren Jackson is best playing next to a center. He doesn't rebound the ball at the highest level. And he's best as a roamer, a guy that can block shots, and that we've seen that type of player be very effective lately, especially like with Anthony Davis, obviously, in the Lakers-Nuggets series. I know that it didn't work out for them, but they put Rui Hachimura on Jokic, and AD's like the safety. He just hangs out and tries to protect the rim, and that's kind of what Jaren does with Steven Adams. So maybe they still do that with Xavier Tillman starting. Maybe that means Brandon Clark starts. Who really knows? But I'm not picking Jaren Jackson to win the DPOY. Evan Mobley second at plus 700. I like the odds there. It's a good pick. I think Mobley definitely is a good pick. Anthony Davis third is just the games. Is he going to play 65 games? Probably not. AD definitely is. He probably is the best defensive player / just defensive big man in the entire NBA if I had to pick one. Last season he played 56 games. Maybe they would let him. Probably not. That's not a lot of games. So hopefully AD can stay healthy, but relying on that is very tough. Wembanyama, by the way, has the same odds as a guy that I've chosen. That's Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo is one of 2 guys I'm picking. Let me tell you the reason why I'm debating between these 2. So it's between Bam Adebayo at plus 1,200. Then I got to scroll a little bit. Drew Holiday at plus 2,500. Here's my logic. The first guard to win Defensive Player of the Year in X amount of years was Marcus Smart 2 seasons ago since Gary Payton did it, in the 90s or whatever, and then Marcus Smart recently did it. Marcus Smart really only got that award because they wanted to give it to a guard. Let's be honest. It came down to him, Mikal Bridges, and Robert Williams as the DPOY guys. I think Robert Williams probably deserved to win that DPOY more than Marcus Smart did, but they wanted to give it to the guard. The Celtics are going to have the best team defense in the entire NBA. I think that definitely plays into it here because a guy like Brook Lopez last year was the anchor of that team defense. They're going to have probably the best defense in the league, though, the Celtics. Kristaps Porzingis, we know how great of a shot blocker he is. They lose Robert Williams, guess what? You add KP. You'll take that. Robert Williams is a better just all-around defender, but Porzingis is an elite rim protector. Al Horford, we all know what he does defensively. He's the Embiid stopper. He's the post-lockdown guy. He's going to hold down on the defense. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, phenomenal wing defenders, phenomenal two-way players, led with Drew Holiday at the helm, who every NBA player considers to be the best defender in the whole NBA. I like the Drew Holiday pick, man, at plus 2,500 if you're looking for some value. But with all that being said, I am going to pick Bam Adebayo at plus 1,200. It just seems like it's his time. He's a guy that has stayed relatively healthy up to this point. Just went to the NBA Finals, so he has that respect. We know Bam's offensive game can be inconsistent at times, but this is a strict defensive award. I think Bam just seems like a guy that should have a DPOY by the end of his career, and I think this is the year for it. I've picked him in years past, so that's why I kind of didn't want to, just because I've picked him before and he didn't, so it's kind of boring to pick the same guys. But I'm going to go with Bam Adebayo at plus 1,200. All right, moving on to Rookie of the Year. This one will be very quick. I'm not picking Victor Wembanyama. Now, do I think Wembanyama's not that good? Hell to the no. I think Wembanyama is very, very good, and I think if he gets to that 65-game mark, he could be an All-NBA contention. He could be an All-Star year one. We haven't seen that since Blake Griffin was a rookie, and that wasn't even his true rookie year. But is he going to play 65 games? I just don't think that they want to risk that, right? I just feel like they're going to play it safe with him. He's only minus 145, which, being minus anything at an award is insane, but you just think he would be, higher for that. Chet Holmgren is second at plus 380, another guy that I just feel like gets eased in. So I'm going with Scoot Henderson at plus 500. I just think now that Dame is gone, this is good value. I'm mainly going for the value pick here. Maybe Amen Thompson. No, he's just not going to play that much. Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore both having better odds than Asar. Asar's at plus 7,500. Dude, Asar's going to get a triple-double or two. He's going to put up the counting stats. That's low-key. That's not bad, dude. I'm not going to do it. But plus 7,500, you throw a dollar on it. I don't know. That's not the worst bet in the world. I definitely don't think that. But you throw $1 to win $75. I probably will do that. So So yeah, that basically wraps up that. I just think Scoot Henderson games wise, like Scoot Henderson probably is going to average 20 points per game this year with hopefully 6+ assists. Like, that's a pretty damn good rookie season. You're just going up against Wembanyama, which obviously makes things tough. All right, moving on to the Big Daddy Award. The MVP is all about storyline. Let's keep it real. It's all about the narrative. You just don't win MVP for having the best season. You don't win MVP for being the best player in the NBA. There has to be some storyline behind it. Joel Embiid. Why did he win the MVP last year? Was he the best player? No. Nikola Jokic was the best player. That was made very clear come playoff time. But Joel Embiid was robbed 2 straight years. I'm not saying Joel Embiid didn't deserve it because he had a phenomenal season, and I am happy he got one per se, which is kind of a stupid thing. Like, it shouldn't be like that. It's like, oh, he deserves to get one, even if he's not the best. But like, Joel Embiid won it last year because he was the runner-up 2 previous seasons. They didn't want to give Jokic 3 straight. Fair, whatever. So then this year, we run into a situation where, okay, if you're following trends, Giannis Antetokounmpo goes back-to-back in 19-20. Jokic goes back-to-back in 21-22. Joel Embiid wins in 23. He's the 3rd highest favorite right now, or 4th highest. Ooh, no, actually, he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at plus 850. That's actually pretty good value if you're following the trends because he kind of has the storyline. James Harden has all this stuff going on. If the Sixers can still be a 50-plus win, top 3 seed type team, and he puts up the same numbers, how can he not be in conversation? So that's not a bad pick, actually. I'm not going to pick it. Jokic is the favorite at plus 430. Luka at plus 550. It kind of seems like Luka, last year I thought it was the year for Luka. It wasn't. Luka is a guy that will win multiple MVPs. So it's just, when does it start? Could be this year. They have the storyline too. They didn't even make the playoffs last year. If they're a top X seed, top 4 seed, kind of seems like you got to be top 3 or 4. There's been a few outliers, Jokic, Westbrook. Then I think Luka could win it because he's going to have the stats, obviously. Giannis at plus 600 is a great bet. I low-key even think that Dame Lillard at plus 3,600 is not the worst bet in the world. If he averages more points than Giannis, averages 30 and 8 assists, and they're the best team in the league. Dame was first-team All-NBA lock last year before he got hurt, by the way. And Portland wasn't even good. Dame was having such a good year, he had to make the All-NBA first team. And then they sat him out for the rest of the season, so he didn't make it. Still made an All-NBA team, though. So I think that Dame Lillard at plus 3,600 is a really good bet. Devin Booker at plus 1,900. I think Booker is a guy that could, if they're a really good team, he leads them in scoring, even with KD there. I like Booker. Shea seems like a popular pick, but I just don't know if it's quite the season yet. I love Shea for sure. It doesn't seem like quite the season. Donovan Mitchell at plus 3,000 isn't the worst. But you also have to realize they don't be giving out MVPs. They don't grow on trees. It is a hard thing to win the MVP. Jason Tatum, they like giving it to the first-year guy, man. But I'm going to go with a guy that already has won multiple MVPs in his career. No, it's not LeBron. No, it's not Giannis or Jokic even. I think Jokic is the favorite. I think Jokic has the storyline because he's coming off a championship, so that's where you can give it to him. I am going to go with, however, let me pull up his stats real quick just so I can double check something. All right, the player that I'm going with hasn't won the MVP award since 2016. Yes, 2016 was the last time he won the MVP award. Only played 56 games last year, so gonna need you to play them games. My MVP pick is Steph Curry. I think that Steph Curry at, what is he, plus 1,400. He is the 6th overall favorite. I love the Steph Curry MVP season. It kind of seems like they're being a little bit doubted. They just got Chris Paul, and from what I've seen with Chris Paul and Steph Curry, I know that there's a lot of question marks. How is Chris Paul fitting into this fast-paced offense? They're a slow team. I think it's going to work, man. From what I've seen, I think Chris Paul's number one initiative is where's Steph Curry? And if that seems like what everyone's initiative should be on the Warriors, what better guy than Chris Paul to have doing that by his side? I think that this is going to be a really good regular season team. I really do. They're going to be 50-plus wins. Last year, Steph Curry averaged 29 points per game, 6 assists, 6 rebounds on incredible efficiency, 43% from 3, 49% from the field. I think that Steph Curry is going to get back in that 30 points per game this year. Might not average as much assists, but he has led the league in scoring twice. Remember a couple years ago, 2021, when they missed the playoffs, he was the runner. Did he finish runner-up? I think he was third. Yeah, because that was Embiid was runner-up. Jokic's first MVP. Steph Curry led the league in points, averaging 32 points per game. They didn't even make the playoffs, and he finished third in MVP. So I think that I think it's his time to win another MVP. I like that pick. I don't have an incredible amount of logic behind it. I just think that the Warriors are a top seed again. And, because last year they were like the 6th seed, I believe. They just missed the play-in tournament. Because they had to beat the Kings in round 1. If they get back into that top 3, like, oh, they're old. They traded Poole. Everyone, Clay drama, Wiggins drama. Like, I think that if all that is silenced and this team wins 50 to 55 games and Steph Curry averages over 30 points per game and does what he does, I think the voters try to give it to him. So that is going to be my awards picks for this season. Thank you guys for listening to this. And now let's get over to the X Factor picks with Matt Griffin. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the High Tempo Sports Podcast, episode 207. Today, I am joined by a new guest on the show, co-host of 1-4 Flat with Ben and Matt on 101.1 The Beat. Matt Griffin, welcome to the show. Man.
Yeah, man. I'm happy to be here. Excited to be here. Basketball season's ramping up. Feel like I've been talking to everybody about basketball, so this is just another opportunity to do that.
Exactly.
And, this time it's recorded. I'm excited to get into it. I know that you're as excited as I am. So.
Totally. It's been, I love football as much as I do, but there's just nothing like the start of hoop season, man. And
not at all.
And with all the hype around the Pistons, basically, like that's why I'm super excited. We have a lot of off-season moves, so a lot of new teams to check out.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, like you are probably like the biggest like hoops head that I like maybe have ever met.
I'll take that.
So
I'll take that.
Yeah.
And we haven't known each other that long.
Exactly.
So like you barely even know.
Yeah, like it could be deeper than I thought.
It might be. It depends how deep you think it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
But it might be. I'll give you an example of how deep it goes. The last 3 nights I've just watched like early 2010s playoff games.
I saw you tweet about that.
Yeah, just the past few days, just like Spurs Clippers like 2015, Clippers Warriors 2014, and then last night I was watching some Pacers Knicks 2013.
Yeah, that's definitely definitely pretty deep in the
Carmelo
bag.
gave Paul George 39 in a game 6 in Indiana, but the Pacers won. Roy Hibbert was going to work.
Was that the semifinals before they played the Heat?
Conference finals,
okay,
yes,
yeah.
before they played the Heat.
See, those are the type of videos that I like wake up to like in the middle of the night, like when I leave YouTube on, like that's what will come on.
Yeah.
But.
No, last night, like it was like after the football. It was after Sunday Night Football, and I was like, I wasn't like that tired. And I was like, I'll just throw on some. I don't know. Just the past few nights, I've just like gotten home and been like, I'll throw on a game and just watch it. And like I got completely sucked in.
I like usually in the summertime, I'm weird because like I will go half stuff like that, like just watching old games. Like I love watching. I mainly will watch finals. I don't really watch a lot of like regular series.
I've watched,
which I should.
I remember all the finals that I've been like alive for, or like that I've relatively been alive for. But I don't remember like all the semifinals games and stuff like that. So that's kind of why.
So I guess that is kind of nice to go back and do that. I watch a lot of movies like in the off season too. I don't know if you're a big movie guy.
I'm not a big movie guy.
So I'll like go back and forth. I like watch a movie one night, then I'll just watch like game 4 of the 2000 whatever, stuff like that. But definitely not as much as you do. I can guarantee that.
Like NBA TV will play finals reruns and stuff a lot, and obviously the NBA app, like if you have League Pass, you can access them all. But yeah, like NBA TV, I don't know. Last summer I remember them playing the whole like all of the Kobe versus Celtics, like those 2 finals or those 3 finals or whatever, 2 finals, and I don't know. I just watched them all. I don't know. Like, it's just what better is there to do?
I don't know if my League Pass is like hacked or something, but last year, or like hacked in a good way, I guess, because I bought it last year for the year of like with the 2K thing, and I didn't get that version of 2K this year, like where you get the free League Pass, but I was hopped on it the other night for preseason. It just worked.
Really?
So
that's sick.
I don't know if it's gonna work for the whole season.
That out, or they might,
I probably should. Yeah, they're probably gonna know about it. Yeah,
that happened. I mean, like when I exposed Checkers secrets.
Oh, that's right.
They took it away.
They did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And if speaking of that, if you guys, I've mentioned it a few times on the podcast, but 101.1 The Beat, Wednesday mornings 8 to 10, Fridays 1 to 3. Ben, who is not here, obviously. Ben, Matt, and I do the radio show.
Yeah.
If you're not local, Matt, Ben, and I always tweet it out. So follow us all on Twitter. You want to plug your Twitter and stuff right now too while you're here?
Sure. My Twitter is Griff1on1. I also have an Instagram, Griffin3442. I don't really ever post there. There will be a post in the next coming months. I don't think I've posted on it since 2020. No, 2021.
Okay.
So it's due.
It's been a minute. Okay, I got you. Yeah. All right, well, let's get into today's. I mean, before we get into today's topic, we'll talk about a few things, but I'm going to mention the topic for today. We are going to be doing the X factor on every NBA team heading into this season, that's just what I'm calling it. It's probably mainly just going to be like...
Just intrigue, I think.
Exactly.
Because the X factor for a lot of teams is just their best player.
Exactly, yeah. So, like, what guy do you just, like, want to talk about?
Do you think could, like, swing some stuff for their season?
Exactly.
But, like... Yeah, like the Celtics X factor is just like them being healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why, like, I'm going to title it that just so, like, people like, oh, I want to know who the X factor is, but we're just talking about guys who we are intrigued in on each team. But before we do that, we do have to talk a little bit about football, like just quick football.
Yeah,
like,
fair.
Bro, the Lions yesterday.
That was
bad. You are also not only the biggest hoops head I know, definitely the biggest Lamar guy I know.
Yeah,
for sure. And I like Lamar too.
He's
like, I'm a big Lamar fan. That was rough, dude.
I think he's the MVP.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
It really was.
He was so much better than everybody else, like, playing yesterday. Like, it was just he was faster than all of our defense. Like, I don't know. It's pretty rough. He tweeted before the season, like, you know, every coach that passed on me or whatever, everybody that said they didn't want me, like, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And we said that, and he fucking remembered.
Yeah, he definitely remembered. Which is,
he lost so fast. I guess that's like a good part. Like, the Band-Aid got pulled off.
That's kind of what I've been seeing. Like, it's nice that this is like the Carolina game from last year. That's what people are saying, but like, it was against a really good team, obviously.
Yes,
so, but it's nice that it happened now than in like week 16. You know, against Dallas or something. Like, if that would have happened, that would have been terrible. But I just have been really trying to avoid like any like social media interactions that involve the Lions because it's just frauds. Like, do you think we're frauds?
Dude, we talked about this on the radio, dude. I told you they were setting us up.
You were.
They were setting us up for us to fall on our face, and that's exactly what happened. Now, how could you not say we're fraud? If this was the Packers in our position, we'd be calling the Packers frauds.
Yeah, that's a great point.
How could you not call us frauds if, like, how could you not? You know what I mean?
I definitely would call us frauds, yeah.
This is the, we played the Chiefs, but they were injured. But we won that game, and it was a good win, but they were injured. So I think that there was still, like, some uncertainty.
Yeah.
Now we play, this is the only other elite quarterback that we've played, and he just fucking beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, and
the whole game.
And that's kind of was the thing with, like, the Lions haters, because there wasn't a lot of hate with the Lions through the first 6 weeks. But the hate that there was like, they ain't played nobody other than the Chiefs. And
I think that, like, the division is horrific.
Yeah.
Like, the rest of the division is terrible. We don't, we can't even prove ourselves again for another, like, 3 months.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
It does suck. Like,
none of these games that are
Monday night against the Raiders.
I don't even.
No one's gonna take that seriously.
That's not gonna move you at all.
No, not at all. They just lost to the Bears by like 3 touchdowns.
Dude, the Packers couldn't score on the Broncos. None of these teams that we play are gonna matter.
That's kind of what sucks. Like, we can't. I mean, the Chargers game, I guess. Like, I guess
they suck too.
They do.
Their quarterback's really good.
Like,
and nothing else is good.
I feel like that's got to be like we have to shut them down. Like, their offense needs to be shut down.
That's the only
because we should score all over them. I'd hope.
I would hope so too.
But
well, I mean, yeah. But, like, that's the other part of it. We finally played an awesome defense.
Yeah,
and offense looks horrific.
It really does. And
it was horrible. We didn't get a first down until they had 21 points.
That's what, like, they kept when it was 14-0. I was like, man, this sucks. But, like,
yeah,
okay, we're not about to go 3-and-out again. And then they just did again.
And we did.
And then they did again after that. And it was just like the amount of 3-and-outs actually was absurd for what I've expected from this offense.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty. It was bad. It was just a bad football game from the Lions' perspective.
It really was.
I will say, like, as the Goff over Lamar thing done, I hope that's done.
I feel like that was all like that should have been done. Like,
it should have been done 3 years ago.
Yeah,
or 4 years ago.
The problem that I hate is like people like have like I watched this. This is just a random example. This guy on TikTok that I see I don't follow him. I just see him. He's an NFL creator or whatever.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago, he was like, Jared Goff is like legit, like top 3, like in the NFL.
People were actually,
and I was like, yeah, man, I love Goff. He ain't top 3.
Dude, Goff is way better than I thought he was.
But
come on,
yeah,
like watch the football games and tell me he's
watch
better
him
than,
and
like,
Lamar.
Justin Herbert.
Like he's good. Like
he's playing good.
He does what he's supposed to do.
Yeah. It's different.
It doesn't mean he sucks. No. He's just not like elite.
No, yes, exactly. And I used to be in the camp of he sucks. He did suck.
He did suck, yeah.
And I was like, oh, he's pretty good now.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, he's pretty good.
And saying he's not elite is not a slander. There's like 5 or 6 elite quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
If that.
There's like 7 guys. But like, you'll bring up like the passing yards or whatever, and it's like, dude, like just watch the games and tell me Jared Goff is like better at football.
Exactly. But what I meant was that same guy after the Ravens game was like, this game proved why Jared Goff isn't and was never a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And I'm just like, bruh. Like,
the thing about like a top 10 quarterback, there has to be 10 of them.
Yeah.
they're not every quarterback's had a bad game.
You can't change your top 10 quarterbacks list every week.
Yeah.
Because then you're just ranking the 10 quarterbacks of that week.
Yes.
Like,
exactly.
You can't. I don't think you can rank anything until the season's over.
Sample sizes. Football is weird because it is small sample sizes. So I get I've always been like a Josh Allen guy. Like I thought Josh Allen was the second best quarterback in the league this whole time. Basically.
I think so too.
The last couple of years, but he strings together 3 rough games out of 7 or 8
That's
weeks.
very true.
That is a lot of bad games.
That's a good point.
But he's not a different guy.
Yeah, you know that comes with him.
Yes, but Lamar's playing better.
Yes.
Right? Now, does that make him better? I think you could argue.
You could, but why wait? Why do it now when Josh Allen could just come out and have 450?
Exactly, and then you're just flipping it back.
Exactly. There's no. That's why I hate rankings. You only should do rankings in the offseason or maybe a mid-season ranking or something
towards the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe. It's too early to do ranking of who's best this and that. So Power rankings is different with teams and stuff. Obviously, that's supposed to be up and down, but individual player rankings are way different.
Yes, and you can't really rely on stats and we've talked about this on the radio. Yeah, you can't really rely on stats anymore because
Brock Purdy
passing yards or whatever or your individual stats are just stats that. What's the word? They mirror the whole team.
Yeah, totally. Goff is kind of an example.
However
of that.
many yards your quarterback throws for is also how many your receivers caught and how many your coach dialed up and how good your protection.
Exactly.
I don't know. So I think you just got to kind of trust yourself to a degree.
I think so too.
I'm the smartest.
And I know it's a bad loss, but you go into the bye, you go out and beat the Raiders on Monday night, which I hope they do.
But that's the thing. They beat the Raiders. So what?
But what I'm saying is, they go into the bye 6-2. You're happy with that. If you would have told me that before the season, I'd be that's actually kind of ideal.
I agree. I agree. I think 6-2 is great.
But an embarrassing loss definitely is a bit of a red flag.
Exactly. And you don't feel great about really any of the wins.
No.
You don't feel super.
At least they dominated the wins. It wasn't a
they didn't
guess.
squeak by the Buccaneers or something. And that's true. That's what they're supposed. But I think that we're probably in a similar situation as Dolphins fans. Where it's they've played 2 good teams.
That's true.
It's they haven't looked the way that you expect.
Especially against, they played against the Bills and the Eagles last night. Right. And it was every other game they win by 40. So they're a perfect example.
The offense didn't look very good against the Chiefs. And it's the defense, I guess you could say, they held Mahomes to 20 points, which is great. But also, there was clearly other factors in that game that we didn't control.
Yeah. So I think I still am not worried about the Lions. But We kind of discussed this a little bit, but we went on the back and forth on the should they make a trade type thing.
Yeah.
I feel they kind of have to make a trade. It doesn't have to be the star-studded trade.
Do you think that it's fair to start criticizing this past draft now based on the fact that, hey, we clearly have needs, but we went with Jack Campbell who barely plays or
doesn't. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Isn't super impactful.
If we
Jameer Gibbs
basically we should have drafted an edge rusher or a defensive back. Yeah. Yeah, I mean I think you can. Yeah, but I don't know. It's hard to say that because you didn't know that Emmanuel Mosley and CJ Gardner-Johnson.
You kind of thought Emmanuel Mosley might get hurt because he always gets
You're
hurt.
right. That's a good point. It's quarterback should have been picked. But I don't think I'm going to blame that on why we don't win the Super Bowl or whatever.
But I think when you're close, then those little quote unquote mistakes.
But Witherspoon or not early. Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez obviously
and he got hurt, but
maybe
he
he doesn't get hurt if he's in Detroit. Exactly. Yeah. So I don't think it's time to that's why, but it could come down to that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And people at the time will be oh, well, it doesn't make or one draft doesn't make or break your franchise. It doesn't, but there's a reason that they all matter.
Yeah. And we also got to see Jameer Gibbs' first touchdown in this terrible garbage time. I was happy for him, but it was
me too.
Does he even keep that ball?
That's a good question. Probably.
I assume he does. Yeah,
he probably keeps it.
All right, we can finish up Lions talk here because we also need to talk about the Pistons before we even get into any of these teams.
I'm with that.
The Pistons open Wednesday night against the Miami Heat, the reigning Eastern Conference champions in South Beach. Who is going to start? Because Monty Williams said that Bojan Bogdanovic and Monte Morris are both not going to be ready to play for the season opener.
Yep.
Who knows how long they're going to be out for? I doubt it's going to be crazy long.
Bojan had the injury last year that we kind of didn't really know about.
Right.
And it feels like this might be a we just don't know what's going on.
Do you think it's a real injury?
Yeah.
It's got to be, right? Yeah, just because it's the start of season. Yeah, I think so too. What's the ideal starting lineup, though, for you? Based on what we've seen, I guess.
Yeah, what we've seen, the best lineup is Cade, Killian, Asar, Stu, and Duren.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the best lineup that we saw all preseason.
Mm-hmm. But we did see Ivy start for the first time.
We did.
On Friday, but Killian didn't play. Exactly. And he said Killian is fine. Like, he'll be good to go for Wednesday.
He had a little knee issue, whatever. Yeah. And I was really worried because Killian injuries have kind of plagued him, unfortunately. And it was like, again, he's kind of building up steam.
That low-key kind of was probably like a planned thing, too. Like, hey, we got to get J.I. like a chance to start.
I agree with that.
You know?
I agree with that. And I think that that's more than fair.
Right.
Like, I understand Ivy starting. Ivy is still one of the two best prospects on the team, I think. Like, Ivy still has a clear pathway to being, like, the number 2 guy on this team for some years. Obviously, it's up in the air, and anybody else could take it, but he definitely has a pathway to that. But that lineup makes a ton of sense. And they just kind of fly around defensively, and, like, they'll be in transition a lot. No doubt the half-court offense will slog, especially if, Stu can't shoot, which is still to be seen.
Right.
But... or if Killian can't shoot, which I feel like is also, like, I don't think all hope is lost with Killian.
I mean, because it's not like you expect him to be, like, a great shooter. Like, if his worst thing is, like, being a below-average shooter, I think that's fine.
Yeah, and he's had stretches of being, like, a pretty good three-point shooter.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it hasn't been all quite put together, but he's still young.
He's not going to be a 5 attempts per game guy
Probably
anyways.
not, no.
I mean,
it'll take some time if that ends up being
the
case. But he does so much other stuff that you can get away with it. But I also, like, I understand the thinking of, like, well, Ivy's just better than Killian.
Yeah.
And Burks is better than
And,
Killian.
like, you think Ivy is, like, more long-term as well than Killian is.
Yep.
So
you do.
You'd think you would go with that. But Monty Williams has preached defense.
The thing about Killian is that he, like... in an ideal world, he'd fit with whatever you do because of what he can do defensively, and, like, he moves the ball and everything like that. And there's clearly, like, some fun synergy between him and Asar that I'm really excited to watch.
I think there's 4 lineup locks, 4 starting lineup locks, and then it comes down to Ivy or Killian probably.
Yeah, and I think Stu shouldn't be a lock to me.
Yeah, but I think he is, though.
But it seems like he is right now.
Right now, like you said, I think that definitely it will. Give it 2 weeks, and Isaiah Livers returns to the lineup, and obviously Bojan Bogdanovic returns to the lineup. Like, and if Bistu's not shooting the 3 well,
Monte,
exactly,
like he's gonna take minutes, exactly. If Stu's not shooting well, if Stu is shooting, like, so many things could change.
You just can't have him out there with Duren if he's not shooting well because we have Asar and Killian.
It's a lot.
Killian
It's just too much. Did you see like there were, like, screenshots of Cade, and he's, like, trying to drive. And
exactly, and that's kind of was a problem last year too for Jaden Ivey.
That's been a problem for Cade his entire time.
Yeah, so I'm hopeful. Obviously, like, I'm not trying to root for, like, Isaiah Stewart to shoot bad because if he does shoot 35+% from 3,
it makes things so much easier.
It really unlocks things because it shows he does have he has the confidence, I guess. Like, throughout preseason, he shot like 5 threes a game. Like, so he's gonna shoot.
It doesn't seem like he's worried about shooting him. Like, he's not, like, super, like. He's not thinking about it. He's not record scratching or anything. And all the other stuff with Stu honestly looked really good. I thought defensively he was awesome in the preseason.
That's what I think too. Like, a lot of people that don't, like, watch the nitty gritty things of the game, like, Isaiah Stewart is a very good switchable big, and that's something that a lot of teams, like, could value. And that's why I think when everyone talks about, like, that contract sucks, it's like, no, like, he would go to a contending team and they would just tell him, hey, you're not shooting 3s anymore.
Right. You're our backup 5.
Exactly. And you're a very good backup 5.
For sure.
But on this team, we're trying to develop him into something that maybe we think he could be. Who knows?
Yeah, and it's still early. Like, the whole team is kind of so young and still just trying to figure everything out. Like, there's a ton of questions about every player on the team. Literally everybody, outside of, like, Monte and Bojan. But there's a ton of questions about all the young guys.
But they are injured, so there's that question.
And they're injured. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think Killian will start. That's my prediction. I think he will start over Ivy.
I'm excited. I love Killian's my guy.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Like, really my guy.
And that's, like, I feel like we relate on a lot of things. Like, Killian has always been, like, me and my roommate Colby, he's actually up there right now. I just heard him. He likes Killian too. But
nice, dude. I got
out of
Colby,
like all my other friends,
yeah,
they don't like Killian.
No, I get a lot of shit for loving Killian.
But it's just like,
I have some friends that like Killian. AJ.
Oh yeah,
AJ.
yeah.
He's a Killian
guy. Yeah. What about Logan? Does he like Killian?
I don't think so.
No.
Logan's not a huge NBA guy.
Oh, okay. I just saw him rocking the Pistons jersey.
Yeah, I mean, he's like just not a huge, like, he's more of a hockey guy.
Yeah,
like,
and lacrosse.
It's not like he doesn't follow it at all. He's a LeBron. He just roots Anthony.
Oh,
LeBron.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Which is, okay, yeah, that's terrible. That's just bad.
A very lame way to do
it really is,
I think,
it's a very
sport.
lame. And speaking of that, I'm going right back to the Lions stuff. I saw a lot of Lions reporters, like, tweeting out about, like, they just are getting hate emails from Lions fans like, oh, we're right back to this. We suck again. Like, why are there Lions fans that like want us to lose?
It's a thing. It's a real thing.
It is a thing.
I did grow up around people that were like that.
Oh yeah,
like that was a thing when I was coming up. Like they're gonna lose.
Exactly, and like, then they want them to lose just so they can prove their own point, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, correct.
Like,
I do think that there is like a certain age that you get to as far as like Lions fans and people, particularly people that were like really into it or whatever, where it's like they just feel vitriol for the franchise because they let them down so much.
I think that's there's a lot of adults Lions fans
that's what I
know that
like,
definitely
like mid-30s really and higher kind of. And there's some that do for sure, and there's a lot of fans. Don't get me wrong, I think that the Lions have an awesome fan base. But there definitely is like a train of thought that's like, I hate the Lions.
There's a hater group of the Lions.
Hated me as a kid.
I guess that's kind of fair, but just you don't need to put it out.
That's just not how I would do it.
You don't need to email the beat writer of, like,
and they can't do it. The beat writer
they aren't a coach
about it, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. They just write about the team.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so if Jaden Ivey comes off the bench, what is the 5? Because Monty Williams said he wants to run 10-man lineup.
Yep.
What does the bench 5, do you think, ideally look like? Because Alec Burks has struggled
with Monte
in preseason.
Out?
With Monte, like, let's just opening night. Yeah.
Okay.
Straight up opening night.
Straight up opening night.
I guess I was mainly just asking, like, do you think Burks is in it or do you think it's
Burks
Sasser?
is in it. I think Burks is in it. Not that Sasser won't get any time.
Yeah.
But I think Monte has talked about really valuing having, like, veteran leadership on the floor all the time and having, like, that steadying presence. And I think that Burks does that. And I think, like, I'm not worried. Burks has been a really good player for a long time.
Yeah.
Like a really good rotational guy for a long time. I'm not worried about him struggling in preseason a little bit. Like, I don't have any reason to believe that he's gotten far worse than he was before. And yeah, so that'll probably be the backcourt, I think. And they'll probably switch off on ball handling duties. Like Burks has played point guard before.
Yeah.
He's handled the ball before. So like Bagley's the big.
I think so too.
I think Bagley's definitely the
Even though Wiseman just like when he gets with that like with that like two-way group, like he just be getting hella buckets.
He does get they both.
But I don't think he's the
I think Wiseman.
Though,
I think Wiseman's like really bad.
Yeah,
I will say.
I think
he's bordering on worst player in the league bad.
Really, he could be.
Yeah,
him or Stanley Amude.
I think Amude probably is more useful.
He's looked pretty good, honestly.
Yeah.
He got 2-way contract today too. That was pretty cool.
Shout out to him. Congrats to him for that. And he does he earned it.
Yeah, he totally earned it. So who's the other 2-way? Him is Buddy Boeheim's gone, right?
Gotta be. He's gotta be.
Is it that Malcolm Calzone? Yeah, Calzone. Yeah,
the French kid.
It might be him.
I like him. I like Calzone. I think that he's a smart player. Like he can pass.
He was good in summer league too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it though for Pistons prediction talk. We're already 20 minutes into this and haven't started the topic yet, so we might as well.
Well, hey man,
we got to talk about the Pistons.
We got a lot of time.
Exactly.
We got time to kill.
It's gonna be a long episode. Just a heads up.
Seems likely. We have 30 teams and each picked a player.
Exactly.
On each team.
Yeah. All right. Let's start off. We're going in alphabetical order here. So let's start off with the Atlanta Hawks. This is the Eastern Conference teams for you and I. There's probably going to be a good amount of repetition here because we went over the Eastern Conference over-unders.
Yep.
And I'm going to link that Spotify in the bio for this too if you want to listen
quickly
to us talk
for the
about
Pistons.
That. Yeah.
If people are watching and they plan on watching Pistons games, which I hope you do.
I hope so.
Me and Locked On Pistons, Kuka Heel, are going to be streaming most of the Pistons game on playback. Most of the Pistons games on playback, doing some, analysis live and talking with the chat and stuff. So
that's dope.
I'll post that on my Twitter.
Okay, yeah. So go follow him on Twitter, and then I will post the link to the Eastern Conference over-unders that we did. We're also doing the Western Conference over-unders at 8 a.m. on Wednesday morning. So listen on that. But yeah, like I said, with these Eastern Conference teams, there's probably going to be a little bit of repetition because we talked about a lot of these guys, but that's okay. Right. So who is your biggest X factor, most intriguing guy of the Atlanta Hawks?
I actually put 2.
Okay, that's totally
maybe
fair.
5 or 6 teams that I put 2.
I did too.
I mean, the X factor is probably like DeJounte Murray or something, and like how he can fit with Trae Young. But I put Jalen Johnson and AJ Griffin.
Okay.
Did you put either of them?
I put AJ Griffin. Yes.
Okay, sweet.
And I debated.
Right. Then I'll take Jalen Johnson, and then we can.
I was thinking about doing Jalen Johnson, but I knew you were going to do Jalen Johnson, so I didn't.
Jalen Johnson is just a fun player to me. I think. I think of Jalen Johnson as sort of like the next evolution, maybe not evolution because he's not better, but like in the family of like Aaron Gordon. Like that's how I think of his skill set a little bit. He's just like a freak athlete, really good passer, I think, for his size and his position. He's 6'9", really long, and he like really crashes the boards. I think that he's an awesome offensive rebounder, and I think that with John Collins on the team, he was sort of relegated to a smaller role than he needs, or maybe not a smaller role, but a role that doesn't fit him as well. I think that he can do all the stuff that John Collins was like asked asked to do, but also put his own little flavor. Like, he is a much better passer than John Collins is, I think. I think that he is a better rebounder than John Collins. I think that he's a better defender than John Collins. And
he will be better defensively, too, I
exactly.
think. Yeah.
Like, he still has ways to go defensively a little bit. Yeah, he's not very strong. Like, his playing strength's got to get better. The footwork's got to get better. But he's clearly, like, mobile enough to stick with guards.
Yeah. And
he clearly has, like, some rim protection chops. Like, there is a lot to like. And I think that he has a ton to add to this team. I think that his pairing with Trae Young is going to be really, really exciting.
Yeah.
Trae Young with another great athlete obviously makes sense. Trae Young's the best lob thrower in ball, probably. I don't know. He's a fun player. And I just hope that he gets the opportunity to do the things that he's good at because he's pretty unique.
Right. And I think that like the John Collins role, I don't think he's just going to go in and like be that because obviously John Collins like fired up threes, like not obviously at a high clip or anything. I don't think Jalen Johnson's going to come in and like shoot a lot of threes. No,
he can't shoot very well yet.
Yeah, but as far as like hanging out in that dunker spot, like hanging out, in that short corner area, like I think, and obviously as a lob threat for Trae Young, he's going to be very valuable.
If he can roll, like if they play other, like sometimes they'll have a Konwu in the dunker spot instead of rolling Capella or something. Jalen Johnson's a good enough passer to where I think that he can make that really like work still.
Yeah,
where it
I
doesn't feel
too.
like there's any spacing problem.
Right, and they kind of already had that problem with John Collins, so it's not like you're just like losing anything if he does end up starting there. That's why I picked AJ Griffin, just because who is going to start at the 4 for this team? If I'm being honest, if I had to pick one, I think it's neither of the two that we said.
No, I think AJ Griffin's probably a little undersized for 4.
But I think that. I think Sadiq Bey is probably most likely to start at the 4 if I had to take a guess.
It's tough. A lot of their wings are like good at one thing or the other.
Yeah, exactly. And Sadiq Bey is like good at shooting corner threes. At least when he got
every once in a while he'll post up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's not what they want him to do.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, I think that I put AJ Griffin just because last year he shot the ball very well. He shot almost 40% for 3 on 38.8 attempts. Didn't play in a lot, obviously. Once they kind of got in that second half of the season, he started to play a lot more. But he averaged 9 points per game. I just think that, like you said, he's a little bit undersized to play that 4.
Yeah, he'd have to play the 3.
Exactly.
Probably.
But also, like, DeAndre Hunter has really struggled to stay healthy so far in his career. So I think that there's a world where AJ Griffin ends up having to start at the 3.
For sure.
And I think that there's also a world where he just plays well enough where it's like, hey,
we got to keep him out there.
We got to keep him as a starting 3, not like get rid of DeAndre Hunter or anything, but at some point it's like maybe they try to move on from him because he hasn't stayed healthy.
And I think you'll see them go small with both of those guys sometimes. I don't know if they'll
probably
a ton, but Hunter. I think you can trust Hunter to guard up a little bit if you needed to.
And you also have Bogdan Bogdanovic coming off of the bench, so he obviously has a role in there somewhere. So
yeah, and he'll usually like relieve Trae Young, like be the ball handler if Trae Young's out and stuff like that. He's a really good bench player.
I think so too. Yeah, he definitely is. He
was awesome in the playoffs. Do you remember?
Yeah, and he was awesome in FIBA too.
Yep,
yes, he led to the finals. So yeah, but I think AJ Griffin like has the tools to be like he already was a pretty solid defender last year for the Hawks. I think he has the tools to be like a potential like lockdown defender for them. And if he continues to shoot the ball at a high clip, hopefully at more a higher volume this year, I think he can end up being a really valuable player for the Hawks going forward. He's only going into year 2, so. Yeah. We kind of talked about that with the Hawks. Like they're in a weird spot because they're trying to win, but they have young guys like AJ and Jalen Johnson and Kobe Buffkin, Okongwu, and
they don't all have like a clear path of playing.
Yeah, none of them even have like incredible high ceilings just because like they are bench guys basically.
Right, but like they need them now. Like it's a weird dynamic. It
really is weird. Yeah, like you kind of want them to pick one way or the other because most teams that do that, it doesn't work unless like you're the Warriors, and it kind of worked a couple years ago.
Yeah,
but they went old
that was
now.
Different,
yeah, you have Steph Curry. Yeah, it's a little bit different. So yeah, that was it for the Atlanta Hawks. Let's move on.
I do want to say about AJ Griffin.
No, go ahead.
He is like, I think that he's like. He has a chance at least to be because he was the level of prospect that is like one of the best shooters in the league. Yeah. Like not just like, a guy that you got to worry about, but a guy that they'll like draw stuff up for. I think. And he lost some of his playing time when Quinn Snyder got there. Like he was playing a little bit more before. So maybe he has to earn it or whatever. Maybe it's something that Quinn Snyder
But with John Collins out, I assume that opens up.
I hope so.
But it depends
I do
on
like him a lot.
Though,
I think he's a really good, he was an awesome prospect and obviously he shot it really, he's like one of the best shooting prospects ever. Like going back to high school.
He was a top prospect in high school too. So he came off the bench at Duke, too, like as a freshman, so that was kind of cool to see. All right, let's move on to the Boston Celtics, obviously one of the top teams in the entire NBA. Who is the X Factor / most intriguing player for the Celtics?
So I guess this one leans a little bit more to X Factor or like swing guy because it's such a competitive team.
Yeah.
I went with Al Horford.
Okay.
So I think that I mean, he's getting up there. He's like 38. And he's so valuable. Like, he's switchable, but also you can throw him on guys if you just need to stop.
Right.
Like, he's the best Embiid defender probably in the league.
The Embiid stopper.
Yeah, he is. He
just doesn't
took
work
the
next
title
to
from
Embiid.
took the title from Marc Gasol. He also, like, they'll put him on Giannis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's just so smart, and he is like an incredible defensive player, and he can shoot too now, and like they can use him as a screener. There's just so many ways to use Al Horford. He's so useful, but again, he's getting older. Obviously, injuries are worrisome when you get to this age, and he's got a decent amount of wear and tear on his body. But he's just such an awesome compliment to Kristaps. I think that if he falls off, like really at all, that really hurts them because they do need him quite a bit, I think.
That's a great point because, we mentioned this a little bit, but obviously their big man depth is outside of those two, out of Porzingis and Al Horford. Like,
it's Cornette.
It's Luke Cornette, and it's O'Shea Brissett if you want to run small ball, I guess. So
Jordan
they definitely are in like a weird spot if Al Horford does regress.
Yeah.
So I like that pick a lot. I think he is a huge, because also if he continues to play at the level he has the last several years,
that's a tough team to beat.
That's one of the best big man duos.
He hasn't been like falling. It doesn't feel like he's been falling off
he like
either.
almost has gotten better since getting back to Boston, obviously, from Philly and OKC. So I like that pick a lot.
OKC, I forgot it.
Yeah, that's a weird year for Al Horford. I went with Derek White. It's kind of like an obvious one, I feel like. Like, he obviously is he's like the glue guy of this team. You have like the stars, him and Al Horford both. They are like the glue. You have the stars and Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. You have the newly acquired like all-star caliber players in Drew Holiday and Kristaps.
Yes.
And then you have Derek White, who's probably going to be the fifth starter in this lineup, I assume, unless they want to start Al Horford. Who knows? But I think an important thing from Derek White last year, he played in all 82 games last year. One of the very few players in the league that did. He was second team all defense.
Should have been first.
Yeah. And obviously, him and Marcus Smart were an elite backcourt defensively. They are the same thing this year with Drew Holiday. Derek White, he came off the bench a little bit to start last year, and then he ended up starting most of the rest of the games once they sent Al Horford / Robert Williams to the bench at the 5. So I just think that Derek White, he's going to be the guy that defends the best players like he was last year. It's a lot of the same.
But he doesn't even like have to be. That's the crazy. Like, Drew Holiday is going to guard the best players.
That's a great point.
So like, I don't even know, but I love
like
Derek
he's
White.
just and Derek White is just we talked about this. He's the ultimate role player. He's the definition of like you want an ideal role player.
He's perfect.
Here he is. He shot 38% from 3 last year. He averaged 12 points a game, which is still pretty solid. And he's bald now, and it looks really weird.
He is bald now. Yeah, it is. It does look odd. Well, his hair before, like, it was leaving him. He was on the way.
He was
the whole time.
definitely like even when he came into the league,
it was starting.
He had some bad genes for sure.
He has some bad genes. He has good genes for being a basketball
That's a good
player.
point. I would take that.
Yeah, I would live with that, I think. Yeah, I love Derek White. I love watching Derek White all playoffs. Like he was one of my favorite players in the league last year. You could probably search my handle on Twitter and like White or Derek White, and there's gonna be a lot of tweets.
That's
like
funny.
I just love. He's the best shot blocking 6'3" guy ever. Probably.
John Wall is up there.
True, John Wall, Dwayne Wade, 6'4".
D Wade, yeah. I guess Wall's 6'4" too, yeah.
Yeah.
So
right.
Derek White, we'll give it to him.
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, he's ridiculous.
And he had that tip in against the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals that it ended up not mattering, but it was still like a crazy play from him.
Him and Drew are going to hound guys defensively, and this team just defensively, period, should be incredible.
I did. I'm going to put before this show that we did. I did like a quick 15-minute segment picking my awards for the year because I just forgot to do that.
We should do that on Wednesday.
We should do that. I won't reveal them to you right now. Okay. But I will say I forgot to say it in there, so I'll say it now. I am picking the Celtics to win the finals. I think this. I just don't. I really don't see how they don't. Even coming into this, like before the Drew Holiday trade, I was like, I think I'm rocking with the Celtics for this year. After Drew Holiday, it's just like it's really hard for me to not.
There is a piece of me, and
they're an injury away though from like
they are an injury away. There's also like, and this is oversimplifying by a million. Don't get me like this is I'm the biggest hoope, whatever, and Johnny down the block could tell you this, but like late in the playoffs, they'll never have the best player, almost ever.
Yeah,
like in a late playoff series,
right? Like conference finals,
they won't have the best player. Finals, they won't have the best player.
Okay, what about last year against the Heat? Like if it's the Heat again.
I mean, Jimmy played better.
He did,
like, right?
But it's like a toss-up, though,
Yeah, I think that's a toss-up.
But I get what you're saying.
I think throughout, Jason Tatum's a way better regular season player.
Yes.
And I think if you try and balance those out, then Tatum's better. But if you're like, the playoffs are starting today, I'd probably be like, all right, I'll take Jimmy.
That's true. No, I agree. And I think also it goes to like, not only do they not have the best player, but like who do you go to with the Celtics? Like, because it could just be Jaylen Brown's night. Like they have games like
Kristaps has nights
with the Lakers and with the Warriors and with the Nuggets. You know who it's going to every time. You know, when it comes down to it, they're going to take over.
Yeah.
And I just said all Western Conference teams, but still, like it's even with the Bucks. Like, I mean, I guess you have Dame and Giannis, but
you know it's those two.
Exactly, you know it's those two.
Probably.
So I think with the Celtics, it's like, what if Tatum and Brown are off? Like, it's got to be Drew. It's got to be Porzingis.
That's why I love the pickup of Porzingis, I think. Because, like, he's not redundant with what those guys do. He doesn't operate in the same spaces. Like, and he's a really good offense. I do think he's their second best offensive player.
Yeah, you said he's their second best player.
I think he's better than Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a hot take to a lot of people.
Probably.
And I understand Jaylen Brown was, like, all-NBA. I just don't think he is, like, an all-NBA caliber player.
Okay, that's fine, I think Porzingis is really underrated, though, too. Especially just last year playing in Washington, no one's watching him.
Nobody was watching him. Yeah. But I was watching him
Had a career year?
little bit, and he was really good. He was really, really good. And I think, if he can stay at that level and stay healthy, he's going to be so good. And he's adds just another wrinkle to their offense that they haven't really had. I can't think of that, like, just bigs that can do what he can do. You actually have to guard him like he's a wing.
Like you need to close out hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he can drive off those close. Like, there's so much stuff to his game at 7'3". I'm excited to watch him more in, like, big games.
Yes.
I think, because we haven't really seen that.
No, not
and
even.
I think he's a really
literally
fun player.
probably never, honestly. Even in Dallas, like they weren't competing.
No,
so
not really. And he probably his usage in Dallas is not the same as I think it will be.
It was. I mean, that was pretty weird.
It's different.
Yeah,
playing in Dallas is different.
And like he's gonna shoot threes a lot here, obviously too. But Dallas, he was like, hey, go stand on the wing,
spot up,
shoot only threes. If you catch it, don't dribble.
Yeah,
give it back to Luka.
Yeah,
yeah. So I think that
post up every once in a while.
Yeah. So I am picking Boston though to win the finals. That is my over.
That's a fair pick.
I think I picked him over Denver. I just forgot to say it on the awards thing, so that's why. That's why.
Fair. No, I mean. Yeah, I think those are two of the three best teams.
Yeah, and it'll probably be wrong, but like, who cares? Yeah, I usually always pick LeBron, so I'm just happy I'm not doing that this year.
But this is a year that you could pick LeBron.
It is,
and it's not inconceivable.
Last year I didn't do it, but like the year that they like came off the bubble and like 2021, I picked them and they didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember who I picked. I was pretty in on the Bucks like the whole time. I think.
I did pick Sixers Nuggets last year, actually.
I think I did too.
But I picked
Bucks.
I picked Sixers to beat the Nuggets, so.
Okay.
So I was. So I thought the center battle would have been. Cool.
I thought that would have been sick. Yeah. That's the one that I was rooting for.
Yeah.
Because I thought it would.
I buy into the Sixers every year. This year I'm not.
Were you ever an Embiid over Jokic guy?
No, never once actually.
Same.
Never once. And, but it's not like Embiid like is way worse. No. Like it's close, but like he hasn't done anything for me to be like, yeah. Like,
I never watched
better than Jokic.
I have thought since like the first Jokic MVP, I was like, he's the best offensive player in the league.
Exactly.
Like one of the best. Like I don't know. Ever
Embiid
since then, I haven't even been
a great player. Obviously,
absolutely,
top 6, top 5 player
without
in the league.
a doubt. I even picked Jokic for MVP last year. Like still,
yeah,
because I just thought he was better.
And I think before this past playoff series, like you could definitely make the argument. Now it's like, okay, like when has Embiid ever had
right?
Like,
but I never was
game?
in on that argument like one bit.
Yeah, no, me either. And
even after that game.
Yeah, exactly. That game
that was a rough day on Twitter.
That
was a tough day on Twitter.
There's a lot of people that are like Embiid versus Jokic. Like they take that stuff to heart. I think it's kind of over.
Philly
now,
is
though.
like I would watch Philly games last year, and their commentary team would be like talking about how Embiid is better than Jokic.
That's crazy.
Like they weren't playing the Nuggets.
Do you think I talked about this a little bit on the award show thing? Do you think that like Embiid like they just gave it to him last year for the MVP?
No, like because he earned
not saying he didn't deserve it, but like. Was it mainly based off narrative and storyline, like how every MVP award is, Like, was it because Jokic didn't have the narrative to win it? I
think that it affected last year's more than
usual.
I really would, than normal.
Yeah.
Yes, but like I do think that there are people that like I wouldn't expect them to get caught up in that narrative, or I believe that they don't get caught up in that narrative.
And they
that
still
did pick
voted for Embiid. Yeah,
and like I get it.
He definitely like deserved.
He was
it.
great.
Yeah, like he had a phenomenal year, and I am happy that he got one after being the runner up several years in a row.
Yeah, it's
but like,
good. Like yes, same.
It's good for him.
That he got one.
And also he's like. I think he's like plus like 1900 or like plus like
they're not giving it to him again.
But like
I think where I'm at.
He's got the narrative though, dude. I didn't.
Not anymore.
I didn't pick him. Yeah, he does, dude.
Embiid?
Yeah, bro.
I don't think he does,
dude.
Because the Harden stuff.
If Harden sits out, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't trade him.
Yeah.
Doesn't play. Philly's a top 3 seed, 50+ wins.
Yeah, no.
Like he's got to be in the conversation.
There probably is a conversation. But
I didn't pick it though.
Every conversation that's going to start with Embiid for the next year is going to be like
The playoffs. That's a great. Yeah, that's totally true. Yeah. What about playoffs?
Like, and I don't know if people will be able to get past that to vote for him for MVP. And then I don't think that's right
because it's not a playoff award.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's not right. But I do think that that's kind of how things will shake out.
Yeah,
I think they want to give it to Jokic because they feel like he should have gotten it last year. Now.
Yeah, I think so.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think that, and because of the playoffs, I think so too. You know what? Let's go completely out of order here. I'll mark it down that we got it. Let's do Phillies right now because we're talking about Philly, so I think that would be smart to do.
You should go first.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go first on this one. So I was originally gonna put Joel Embiid because but that's just so lame. It's so. What am I guys here talk about how good Embiid is?
Superstars.
I had a couple. There's a couple that make sense though. So I didn't put Embiid. I went with Jaden Springer for the 76ers. Dude. Did you pick Jaden Springer too?
I just wrote him down. I wrote him down. I wrote two people down for this one.
Good in preseason, and it's a guy that has not played. He played 18 games so far in his NBA career.
Yep.
When he came out of Tennessee, he was him and Keon Johnson, two guys that both have not turned out. Keon Johnson just got waived.
Yeah, Keon Johnson's not good. I think Springer's good, though.
I think so too, and I think that you kind of look at it. I picked him because, hey, if James Harden decides to not play or they don't trade him, he's just there or whatever. Somebody kind of has to step up in that backup guard role. You have Patrick Beverly, but he's not really a guard. He's just like the defensive hound out there,
Yeah, I think it'd be him. He is a backup guard.
Yeah,
kinda.
He would be, but I just think that there's going to be opportunity for Springer to get in.
And they have Melton.
Those guardmen. They have Melton too, yeah. So I think that Maxey Melton will start together, which those two didn't play an extreme amount together last year. But I think
they did because they would use Melton as a 3 last year.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Did you see that thing? Did you listen to Tyrese Maxey's conversation with JJ Redick?
No, I didn't. Yet. I listened. I saw clips of it.
Apparently, because him and Melton are boys, but he talked about how Doc Rivers was we're not it's one or the other.
Really?
Yeah. And they would get pissed at each other because Maxey got hurt and he came off the bench for 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
And apparently they jawed at each other about who was starting and stuff. But they're best boys apparently. That's
interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Yeah, I have to check it out.
It is really interesting. But yeah, I'm going with Jaden Springer. I just think that he's very athletic. He's looked really good in this preseason. I think he definitely has the tools to be a good perimeter, good defender.
I think he is a good to great perimeter defender.
I think so too. And you have Patrick Beverly on your team. That is the guy you want to be learning from as much as he's
Melton too.
Yeah, exactly. Totally with Melton. So I think that as long as if he can develop some offensive game, which obviously he has it, he just hasn't had a chance to show it. I think that he definitely could be hey, if Jaden Springer ends up taking a leap and he's in your 8-man rotation in the playoffs or 9-man, you feel really great about him being there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Jaden Springer. I talked about him on our radio show last week. I think that he does have a chance here to become a rotational guy that people recognize. I think that he could bring an extra bit of juice, extra bit of athleticism to a team that sometimes feels a little bit stale.
Yeah.
I think that him and Maxey in particular, together could sort of juice a transition attack that they haven't quite had.
Right.
Maxey's a one-man transition. He's a monster.
Yeah, totally.
He's a complete weapon in that facet of the game. But I do think having Springer with him, and again, like you mentioned, defensively, that could be really fun. Having Springer out there with Tucker and Embiid and Melton, and they've got Embiid backing him up so he can just kind of fly around.
Kelly Oubre's just out there.
Kelly Oubre's out there. Yep. Beverly, I'm excited
Danny
to watch.
Green even is on the
I forgot
again.
He was actually he looks good in preseason.
Yeah.
Actually,
he'd probably be
I think he's gonna play.
A role guy.
I think he's gonna play.
Maybe Furkan Korkmaz still plays.
Danny Green, another guy that should be in the best shot blocking guards.
Ooh, that's a good one. That is a really good one.
He's a little bit taller than those other guys.
Yeah,
I think,
but still, he's definitely up there. Yeah, I think Springer has the opportunity as long as if they give him the minutes, I think he'll show.
I think he will too. I don't believe it. He was incredible in the G League last year. Incredible.
Yeah, and I think that.
He's really young. He's only 20.
Yeah, exactly. This is only his 3rd year, I believe. Yep. And so he's got plenty of room to grow. Former first-round pick, obviously. He just hasn't played. So we'll see. Who was your other guy that you...
I'd put Maxey.
Okay,
because I think Maxey...
I also thought about Maxey.
Maxey taking a leap is probably going to be the most important thing if they still want to compete, and they lose Harden in particular.
Because he had that time where he played point guard 2 seasons ago.
I don't think it was great.
No, it wasn't. Exactly.
And I don't think it was great last year when he did it.
No, and he's just not he's that flame-throwing 2 guard that just scores that you need.
I think he's an awesome off-ball player.
Yeah, exactly.
And projects to be an incredible 2-guard
for
forever.
Sure.
He's got if he could add being a more productive, more reliable on-ball threat, I think that'd be awesome for him and his development. And I think that it'd probably be necessary because they don't have a guy that you trust more with the ball outside of Harden, obviously. But if Harden's gone, they don't have another guy where it's he'll take the reins.
I think that's kind of why he could be the X factor too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I like that pick a lot. All right, let's move back up to the top. Let's move on to the Brooklyn Nets. This is a team that I think. Did you take the over or under on the Nets? I went with the under. It
What was
like
the number?
I think it was low. It was like 37 and a half.
I think I took the under.
I took the under. I think we all took the under. I'm not as high on the Nets this year, but I think they have the most obvious X factor of all time that relies on whether they're going to be like maybe they could be good or not. Ben Simmons.
Okay.
That's who I chose for the X factor. This was just like, it's a boring one, but like it's so obvious.
I
like,
knew you were going to take Ben Simmons, so I picked someone else.
And I'm happy that you did that because I almost did the same thing.
I wrote down Ben Simmons and I was like, he'll probably.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought about doing like a couple other guys, like if Cam Thomas plays. Yeah, so like, but Ben Simmons, I mean, if he can somewhat return from what we've seen in preseason. I get that this happens every single offseason, but it doesn't happen in games.
Not like this.
Exactly. It happens in the workout.
This is the best he's looked easily.
It totally is. And he just looks like he's having fun. Like, and that's been the thing with Ben Simmons.
A little flair. He's got a little
It's always
something.
been the mental thing with him, and everyone kind of just pushes that.
There was
the
back. Like, he looks more athletic now, I feel like.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. But, like, he always preached that, like, he's just not ready mentally to play. And everyone kind of was just like, oh, whatever. But, like, if he is ready mentally to play, like he said he wasn't a few years ago, that could be huge for him. And
Absolutely.
I think that, you know, like, the last time he played a full season with Philly, I'm not counting last year, he averaged 14 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 7 assists. He was first team all defense.
Yeah,
he was an all-star.
He's like one of the best defenders in the league.
I don't see why he can't get back to 14, 6, and 7.
No, I think that's fair.
Like he won't be an all-star, obviously. Which the fact that he was an all-star with those numbers is pretty unreal. He must have had better numbers.
You gotta remember, but like the defense, though, like
you're right.
They were an awesome team, and people considered him the best perimeter defensive player in the league.
Yeah, because he was runner-up to Gobert. Yeah, the year before that, I'm pretty sure.
And that was the year Gobert had like the crazy analytics, like the super crazy.
Was that the year that Simmons dropped like 46 on Gobert too?
Yes. Oh, I forgot all about that game. Oh my God,
awesome.
that was crazy.
I want to go back.
I think I might have to too. I think he posted something on Instagram after like talking shit about
probably.
Gobert's
I mean, he was talking shit to Donovan Mitchell about the rookie of the year stuff. That whole thing,
he talks. He talks
he's
for being a guy that has a lot of ammo against
him. But yeah, I think that if Ben Simmons can get back to that caliber and they start him at point guard or whatever, or just start him in general, like the Nets could be a good team. But if he is the same guy he was last year and plays, you know, he played 43 games last year, 42. Shot 43% from the free throw line. I wanted to mark that because that
won't get it done.
He was like a consistent like mid-60s free throw shooter in Philly, which like obviously isn't good, but like it's better than the
They're
worst.
not going to follow you on purpose.
That's not the worst guy on the team.
Right.
But 43% is easily the worst. I assume Claxton shot better than 43%. Probably not much better.
No, I was going to say.
Maybe Day'Ron Sharpe shot worse, but Ben Simmons has the ball in his hand, you know? So I'm excited to see if he starts. I kind of assume he'll start. I don't know who over, though, I guess.
I mean,
Dinwiddie.
Well, like,
Dinwiddie's got to start, right?
He has to?
I guess, no, okay, he doesn't have to. I think he will, is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Okay.
But, like, they can start together, right? Dinwiddie, Simmons, Bridges, Cam, Claxton. Finney Smith, Loki's got to start.
That makes sense. I would probably play Finney Smith, though.
Like, over Dinwiddie? Yeah.
I think so.
I think that. I like that.
I guess I haven't thought about it a ton.
Finney Smith is
Maybe.
just a guy that
you don't have a ton of creation there.
He just like is a guy that shouldn't come off the bench, though.
Finney Smith?
Yeah,
he just makes sense.
But also you have
they also have like Royce O'Neal.
Yeah,
and like those guys,
yeah.
You know,
and maybe Cam Thomas.
That's what I was gonna get.
Yeah, you can talk about Cam Thomas.
I think straight up, the Nets need Cam Thomas. Like they need his scoring.
Yeah,
because this offense is not going to be good.
Who is an on-ball creator on this team? I'm not saying even Mikal Bridges is. Is that what you want your offense to be? Mikal Bridges as the on-ball creator? No,
you don't want that.
Exactly.
He's an awesome off-ball player,
and
he was good with the ball last year.
He was definitely.
Like he scored well.
But you would like to have another guy.
You would love to have another guy.
Yeah.
I would say, and I don't know. Like Cam Thomas was like stringing together 40 pieces last year.
3 straight.
Yeah, I guess. Does he need to be able to do something else to get on the floor? That's what it seems like because he could score already.
Yeah, but how is he different than Emmanuel Quickly? You know,
Quickly defends.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, he
Quickly
does.
defends.
He does. Malik Monk. No, he kind. I'm just trying to.
Malik Monk's like off the ball.
I'm trying to compare him to other. Yeah, you're right. He is. I'm just trying to think of other guys that are like similar to that role.
It's like Bones Highland.
Get a lot of minutes.
But Bones Highland doesn't get minutes.
Yeah.
But I think Cam Thomas is better than Bones Highland.
Yeah, I think he is too.
Like almost easily.
I don't really like Bones that much.
I loved Bones at VCU.
Yeah.
And like
he looked good at Rico Hines.
Yep. Yes, he's awesome in that environment.
Yeah.
I like Bones. Like I think he's a cool player. Not a guy I would want getting minutes for my team.
He's a guy that should be on the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah. Okay. I can get with that.
But anyways, Cam Thomas.
Yeah. Can he just stay on the court? Does he have to do something else to be able to stay on the court? I guess probably. But, I mean, you talked about their lineup, and it's all really good defenders, so they have guys that can cover for him, you know? Like, they can sort of cover up for his deficiencies. Like, is starter
Cam Dennis Smith, too? Like, you just have them in a backcourt together?
He's, like, one of the best perimeter guys, point of attack guys in the league, especially last year. And I'm excited to watch him. But Cam Thomas starting isn't getting you 25 a night. I think he could.
Legit, dude. He actually could.
I think he could. He's that good of a scorer.
Especially with this team.
Yeah. It just makes sense.
And all them guys know how to play off the ball.
Exactly.
All of them do.
All of them are used to playing.
And they're good at it. Like,
it feels like this is an environment where Cam Thomas could just be Cam Thomas.
He could thrive.
Yeah. You just got to give him the opportunity.
I think so, too. I mean,
and I think it's fair being like, hey, we need you to do something.
Right. Just, but, like, the fact that he had those 3 straight, 40 pieces last year, and then the very next game he got, a DNP. Like, that's just a bit absurd.
You know? Yeah, exactly.
Like, why do you not just see what happens, man? Like,
I think he's got to play this year for their off. If they want to be like a playoff team, I think that Cam Thomas is a part of that.
Yeah. I like that. I think so too. He could, and hey, maybe he has 6 man of the year potential if he does come off the bench.
There's a lot of fun
because it's just scoring buckets.
Yes.
Jordan Clark. No, Clarkson's off the ball guy too. I'm trying to think of another guy.
He's a little more. He's probably more in the line of Cam.
Yeah.
I think.
But he's just it's super elite at it.
Yeah, he is.
I love Clarkson, dude. That guy is a definition of he gets the ball, that thing is going towards the hoop.
Yeah,
he ain't passing it.
No, he's a black hole.
It's so fun watching that.
Yeah, Jalen Noel, but he just got cut, I think.
What team was he? He's not on any team. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
No.
He just got waived.
All right, let's move on to a team that I know you. Trey Mann. Yeah, but Cam Thomas better than Trey Mann. Yeah, definitely. Okay, this is a team that I know you are higher on than most. I just brought this team up, the Charlotte Hornets. Who is the X factor to this team? For me, with the bad teams, the way I kind of view it is who has to be good for this team to not be bad? Kind of.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
Who helps this team be average? Basically.
So this is actually one where I ended up going with the star. I took LaMelo Ball. And
see,
I'm really intrigued by a lot of their role guys, like JT Thorpe, PJ Washington, Brandon Miller, obviously. They have a lot of guys that I'm really interested in that are lower in the rotation or sort of in the hierarchy of the franchise. And that's kind of why I buy this team, is because I buy a lot of those guys.
Right.
Mark Williams, I think, definitely has a case for this as well. You can make a case for any of those guys,
Mark Williams.
Charlotte hasn't won a playoff series in over 20 years. And they have been to the playoffs once in the last 6 or 7. But I believe in Ball as a borderline franchise player. I think that there is a possibility that he is just the number one for a long time and you can build a really good team around him. Obviously, he has things that he has to figure out and he has to get better at. But I have no reason to not believe that he will. He's 6'7", he's long, he's
an elite playmaker.
An elite playmaker, a genius passer.
Yes.
Legitimately a genius passer. There's only a couple.
And he makes it look
league.
so easy, too.
Exactly. I love watching him play. And he's he's a nuclear shooter. And he can shoot from all different places. He can shoot from deep. He can shoot from 30 if you need him to. He can shoot off platform, going right, going left. He can pull up. He can shoot in any variation of ways. I think it makes him so dangerous. But he does have to get better at pressuring the rim. He has to get better at sort of being able to slow down a little bit. Just refining himself in pick and roll situations in particular. They have Mark Williams, who's a really good pick and roll partner, I think, so that should help. There was a lot of talk. Zach Lowe wrote about he was the steps that he and Clifford were taking this offseason to become better in pick and roll and sort of some of the stuff that they were doing. And I was pretty interested in it, and it was a lot about him slowing himself down in pick and roll, being able to trap defenders on his hip, the pacing of it all, stuff like that. I think is what he needs to emphasize, and if he does, he should be an extremely, extremely good offensive player. He already is one. This is a guy that was an all-star at 20.
He literally, yeah.
And I think if he does figure that stuff out and defensively he makes himself useful, there's a lot of questions about what he does defensively, and he's already pretty good at being aggressive and playing passing lanes and stuff like that. But I think if he sits down and commits to that end, he is 6'7" and really mobile.
That's kind of how I feel about it. It's there's no way he's ever you could complain about the defense, but it's never going to be Trae Young level defense.
Well, just the size.
Exactly. He's just long enough where he's going to be at least a below average at minimum defender, I feel like.
Yeah, and I mean there's not a lot of point guards that are awesome at defense.
Yeah, exactly. He has the tools to be a solid defender, I think, for sure. Yes. I don't know if he ever will have the effort to, because he's so good offensively.
But I wonder if in a better context, in a winning context,
I think you kind of have to, especially for example, if Terry Rozier is still your shooting guard, you know, like you kind of want one of those. If he's not next to an elite defender,
right?
Dude, Derek White next to LaMelo would be so
awesome.
Nice.
That would be
so perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I like that LaMelo Ball pick a lot. I'm right with you on LaMelo Ball. I love watching him play.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like that's one of the guys that like throughout the offseason, like I've been psyching myself up to watch
because he just has been not talked about as much,
right?
And it's coming off of the injury. Him and Cade both like are kind of in a similar situation this year. Obviously, 1 year apart from each other. But yeah, I'm super excited to watch LaMelo. I went with this is my first rookie pick. I did pick Brandon Miller as the X factor for the Hornets.
I picked a couple rookies.
Because I think that like if Brandon Miller can come in and like he I think is in a spot where like he could go off just because of all of the shit that the Hornets got for taking Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson and like Scoot Henderson is
I think it was rightful shit.
Oh, it totally is. I'm not saying it's not. But to him personally, he's got to take that like with a grain of salt,
Absolutely.
right?
And he's a really good player.
He is, and he was really good in college, averaged almost 20 points per game on 43% three-point shooting. I don't think he will come in and like be a bad three-point shooter by any means. He's going to chuck up a lot of them.
He's a fun rookie. He's useful right away in a way that most rookies aren't.
And especially as like a freshman, like one and done type of a
true.
rookie too. Like he definitely is going to come in and impact right away. He's
an older freshman, right?
I think so. Yeah,
like
I think
20.
he is. I think he is 20.
He's
yeah,
20 or 21.
But I think that he will be a good defender right away too. Like he's just really long. The one thing he kind of struggles with is like attacking the hoop. Like he's not like with the ball in his hands.
He's not good at that.
He's not good at that.
He just doesn't create for himself.
Exactly. Like,
very high level.
but you have LaMelo Ball, so like that's kind of the ideal guy
fit.
to be, passing him the ball and everything. So I do like the fit, and I just think he's gonna want to prove the people wrong. He's gonna be in a scenario where Gordon Hayward is on the last year of his contract, and he gets hurt a lot. Like probably not going to play that much. They don't really need to play him because he's off the books.
He'll be off the bench, I think.
Yeah,
and he'll be good,
I think
like
so
a
too.
steadying presence off the bench for a lot of young guys.
Miles Bridges has got his own shit going on. Like
To say the least.
who knows if he will ever play. And then basically like who are some wing like Cody Martin is coming back this year.
He'll play.
He'll play, but he's not like
I'm a believer in
taking
Bryce
a spot.
McGowan's.
Yeah, I know you're a Bryce McGowan's guy. We'll see how much they want to play him. But they don't have an absurd amount of wings, so I think that Brandon Miller
he's clearly a notch like head and shoulders above all the other wings as far as like priority.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that if he like is a rookie of the year candidate, not saying he's going to win it, but like if he's actually in that talks, which I feel like people are already kind of writing him off as he won't be.
Have you watched Wembanyama, bro?
That's not what I'm saying.
Are there going to be talks? Is what I'm saying.
Okay, but you're right. You're right. If he is in runner-up for Rookie of the Year talks, then
first team all rookie.
Exactly.
Talks
Yes. If he's first team all rookie, I think that he could elevate this team's win total a little bit. And he could be the second best player on this team. Like maybe he is right away.
That'd be big. That'd be big time. I think if he is the second best, like that is
at least going forward.
That's a really high outcome. I think for him going forward, he should
because
that's what he's
like Mark Williams, obviously. Like
he took him second overall.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like they could have took Scoot Henderson.
I would love, dude. Scoot
what a backcourt that would be. That would be ridiculous.
I hated that during the whole draft process. My least favorite take was like, "What are they gonna do? They have the ball so much.
They're perfect for each other.
What are you talking about, dude?
Scoot Henderson and LaMelo Ball is like they fit each other. Like
that's what I'm saying, dude. Like that whole thing was so annoying to me, and the Hornets fell for it, dude.
It was.
They were like, they're kind of right.
There's only one ball. Type of guy.
Dude, like you act like one guy has the ball. Look at Terry Rozier, dude. That dude has the ball a lot. So I don't know. I'm excited to see how Brandon Miller can do this year. Moving on to another, we have a little run of Eastern Conference teams here. This team, we talked about them. They're in such a weird spot, and maybe one guy can put them over the hump. Maybe one guy can make them a lot worse. Who knows? The Chicago Bulls. Who do you got as your X factor?
I wasn't sure about an X factor. This team is just in such a weird spot, and I think that it's one of those situations where they just don't. They feel directionless to a degree.
Totally, probably the most directionless in the league.
Yeah, they don't suck.
No,
but like
they'll be solid.
Yeah,
around 500 probably.
Yes, I think so. And I don't know. They don't have like a franchise. Like they don't have a young guy in the wings that's like that guy's gonna take over this franchise when DeRozan and Levine are done. Yeah, Dalen Terry. Who they just draft? They all they had was a second round pick.
It was Julian Phillips from
that's right.
Tennessee,
That's right.
I believe.
Yeah. So they don't have like the next guy. I like Pat Williams though. I'll say that much. I do like Pat Williams. I like my big defenders, and he can shoot. Like he's 41% from three. With him, it feels like it's kind of all about aggressiveness as far as taking like another step. I think defensively, you know what you got. Like he's
big too. Dude.
He's big. He can stick with guards like really, really well for a guy his size. I think that's kind of his superpower on that end. Just like he's going to keep the ball in front of him. That's what he does, and he has the length to contest, and he's pretty strong and everything, and He shoots well. Like he's a fine spot up shooter. He doesn't shoot a lot of them at all. I think that it's a make or break year for him. I mean, he's always kind of
contract year too.
Contract year. It feels like he's always wanted to be like a mid-range scorer.
Yeah,
like that's always been something that he's been.
Can't have two of them with DeMar.
He's been on. They have and he's not very good at it.
No.
Like that just can't be a thing that
Right.
you're like okay at and part of your shot diet. You know,
Right.
you got to be an awesome mid-range scorer for me to believe that you should be taking mid-range
Definitely,
jumpers at a decent clip. And he just hasn't been that. So I guess it's a make or break year for that. But just in general, the aggressiveness, the drives, like he is a really incredible athlete. You know, making himself useful as a cutter and things like that is stuff I'd like to see from Pat Williams.
Remember when we were going to trade Jeremy Grant for him? Like when that was like that was the talk.
I wanted
that like never was going to happen. I feel like, right? Like no way Chicago did that.
I thought we were going to draft him.
Yeah,
I didn't think he'd go.
Yeah, didn't they promise they were going to take him at 7 if he was there? I remember seeing like a report about that. I don't know if it was true.
I remember not wanting him. And being like really excited that he got drafted 4th.
Oh, okay.
Like I remember like cheering when he got drafted 4th because I was like
he came out of nowhere like within like the last week of the draft process basically.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. And I remember just being like my top 2 in that class were LaMelo 1, Killian 2. And I was like, I just need one of them. We would trade up for LaMelo or Killian,
and then we got him.
And we got Killian.
and now it's his breakout season.
Yeah, and now we're here.
I also picked Patrick Williams though as the Chicago Bulls X factor, but I think it's just like an obvious one. Like who else am I picking? Like Javon Carter. Like how much? I love Javon Carter, but like
Javon Carter and Caruso would be fun.
No, they will be fun for sure. But like, how much does that move the needle for the Bulls? Like it really does. It Yeah, maybe. Who starts at the 1 this year? No way Io starts, right?
I start Caruso.
I don't see what. Yeah, that's
Probably.
Yeah, you definitely start Caruso, actually. I mean, he was all defense.
But they didn't do that all the time last year.
No, last year was kind of weird. But yeah, I think that Patrick Williams he clearly raises the level of wins for this team if he has a breakout season. Yeah, but it's going to be hard for him to have a breakout season with everything going on. It's a really weird spot.
And like, you know, I mentioned they don't have like their next franchise guy. Part of that is because they're picking like late lottery.
Yeah.
You know, like they don't have a top 5 pick.
And the Magic have their picks, and the Spurs have some of their picks.
Oh, what a horrific trade.
It really is. And DeMar's coming off they just have a weird situation going on there.
Yeah.
Poor Bulls fans, man. I don't feel that bad, though. I really am, like, that's always been, like, my least favorite team.
The Bulls?
Yeah. I don't know if it was because, like, I was raised a Pistons fan, like, Pistons versus Bulls.
You know, I think rivalries don't move me that much in professional sports.
Okay, in NFL, I beg to differ.
But, like, I hated, like, Aaron Rodgers, I think. I don't know that I hate the Packers.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. In the NFL, there's the teams that I really despise, like, a lot of them. NBA, there is not like a single team that like the Bulls are probably my least favorite.
Anything could win me over by like being fun.
Yeah, totally. I'm the same way. Like, there's no teams in the NBA that I'm like I hate that team.
Right. In college, I think it's different.
Oh yeah, college is way different.
College, like
even like in the MLB though, like there be MLB teams I don't mess with.
Maybe.
And I'm not even like the biggest MLB guy.
I don't remember hating when I was a big MLB guy. I don't remember being like the Twins.
I
don't know. That never happened.
I hate the San Francisco Giants, dude.
That's fair. That's
to
a good
this
one.
day.
That's a good one.
Always hated them.
Yeah.
St. Louis Cardinals. Oh, I hate them. Don't know why.
Yeah.
Just do. This is just some weird ones.
I don't like the Cardinals, but like I was like, but Albert Pujols is sick. Like,
yeah.
So I don't hate the Cardinals.
See, the reason I hated him was because everyone always said Pujols was better than Cabrera.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, he's not.
That's true.
Even though he might have been.
He might have been.
But that's just exactly. Yeah. But that was just why I hated him.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, I mean, never like the Yankees or the Red Sox. Like, it's just typical hater.
I guess like the
hater
Yankees
stuff.
And but like I was never like a Cowboys hater, really.
Yeah.
It's they talk about them too much.
I don't like the Cowboys by any means, but like I don't.
Not for any part. Like I don't like the Cowboys any more than I like whatever random team.
Yeah, that's a good point. But the NBA though, I really don't have any. Like but also I think it does have a lot to do with like if your team.
I think if the Pistons get better.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. If your team is not competing, it's really hard to be like, oh, that's our rival.
Yeah,
like we are just begging this.
But that's why I'm saying like the Bull, like. What have the Bulls done to me?
Yeah, you're right. That's nothing. Like, if anything, I should just hate LeBron as a Pistons fan. You know, like that's about it. But I don't.
Used to be like that. Well, because when I was a little kid, like LeBron was my favorite anything.
Yeah.
Everything I would do, like, was centered around LeBron. I had all of the jerseys.
Yeah.
Whatever. My brother would just be like, you're a Pistons fan. How do you like LeBron? I was like, he's just like the best.
Yeah, I've always been a LeBron guy too.
He's the man. Mm-hmm. What do you mean? Like
exactly,
but to him it's like LeBron, killed us.
It's like the biggest enemy. Yeah,
like
exactly.
He is the boogeyman.
Yeah, but I think once we play in the playoffs, like if we have an elite series
against Toronto, I think if we have an Elite Series against Toronto.
See, we were already kind of like Toronto rivals because of Dwayne Casey.
Well, we're
and
Toronto
he owned
rivals.
them.
Have you ever been to a Pistons-Raptors game?
The Raptors just come.
50-50.
Yeah.
And it's like shit talk.
Oh, yeah.
Like I remember
That's
when
a
I was
good one.
younger, just like walking out of the Palace parking lot or whatever, and like a car full of Raptors fans like chirping me and shit. I was like, 10.
I'm 12.
Yeah.
I think that the team that I
would be
envisioned was the Atlanta Hawks. Don't know why.
I like Trey too much.
I just feel like, but I like if we play a playoff series against them and it's like a hard fought battle, talking shit, like I could see me like really becoming a hater of that team.
I think
just for like a X amount of time, it would go away obviously, but like maybe for like a month, I'd be like rooting on them to lose in the next round and stuff. Like I could see it.
I don't. Did you feel any like? Now, obviously, we never thought we were gonna win, but like when we like lost to the Bucks in the playoffs, did you have any like? I hope they
not
lose?
At all.
Same.
Like I kind of wanted them to win.
Oh, like the whole thing.
Yeah, like I just loved Giannis. Like
yeah,
I was
me too.
Like, yeah, like
me too.
And we were never.
I might need a player or
win.
two to hate. I don't have any.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no players that I root against really.
No, I don't either.
I don't like DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, but I don't like hate on him.
Neither do I. I just think he's bad.
Yeah,
I just don't think he's very good.
that's way different than just
That's
like
different
hating
than
on
hate.
a guy. Yeah,
I don't root on anybody's downfall.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on. We're only 6 teams in here.
Yeah, my bad.
We're good. Okay, the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is a team that obviously is already a 50+ win team. Last year they got better this offseason. I think there's plenty different ways you could go here. But who did you rock with?
I went with Okoro. This
that.
was the best defense in the league last season, and obviously everybody points to Mobley and Allen. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But also Okoro. Like, Okoro is a big-time wing stopper. I think he's very young. He shot it okay. I think he was 36% from 3 last year. I should have double-checked that. But if I remember correctly, he was like 36%. Teams didn't guard him very much,
right.
and I understand. And like they bring in, guys that teams will guard, so it's different because they don't guard Okoro. And I think if Okoro can make a leap to being a guy that teams have to guard, if he can, spice up their transition attack a little bit more, he's a really incredible athlete. I think that he's a pretty smart player. But if like the drives can hit, if he can pepper in drives by attacking closeouts, by making teams close out, I think Okoro becomes a much better piece, a much better player alongside Mobley and Allen.
And he's that wing defender that you kind of want to have there. And obviously, like they brought in Strus, who like is a solid defender. Like
he provides so much more offensively than
shooting.
What we think.
But if Okoro can bring some offense to the table, then you probably play him in playoff
at least
series,
in certain matchups.
Exactly. You play the Celtics, like who's guarding Jason Tatum? You're not having Mobley out there on him.
Just like you saying, it's like
who's guarding anyone on the Celtics? Yeah.
Who's guarding? Well, then who's guarding
Porzingis at least?
Well, then who's guarding? Yeah, they have bigs. Do you think that? I wonder if they put Mobley on Tatum. That could be fun.
I was just thinking about that, but like, I mean, you kind of have to, I guess.
Yeah.
But like. Oh yeah, that's a really weird series. They don't win that series.
No, I don't think so.
No, like as much as I want to talk myself into the Cavs, like
I don't think they win.
They don't like Milwaukee. Like who guards Dame? Okoro has to start, right?
Yeah,
to guard
probably.
Dame.
I would think so.
And then you at least have Mobley and Jarrett.
Or you just send two. Or you just send 2 on Dame.
Yeah, but then that just like tires out Garland and Mitchell.
Well, it tires out Garland. Not even just that, but then you're like living with like Giannis 4 on 3.
Yeah.
And
like
dead.
Pat Connaughton strapping threes.
Yeah,
time, so.
Pat Connaughton.
All right. I went with Evan Mobley for the Cavaliers.
Fair.
I just think that if he can take another leap offensively, it adds a lot to this team. Or maybe if he kind of proves like, hey, you got to get rid of Jared Allen. Like I have to be the 5. Like maybe he can prove
one way
that.
or the other.
I think he kind of this season depends on the direction for the Cavs. Whether or not he can play next to a 5 or not. Last year he took a regression in 3-point percentage. He only shot 21% from 3 last year, only on 1.5 attempts. Still pretty bad, though, obviously, next to a guy that doesn't shoot threes at all. So he brings, obviously, a lot to the table defensively. He was first-team all-defense and just a second-year player.
I thought he could have been the defensive player.
Yeah, and I think he could be a depoy this year, too. Like
he's special on that end.
They're going to be
really, really special.
They're going to be top defense in the league again. So I just think that if he can bring more to the table offensively and continue to grow, like that really unleashes this team to like, whoa, like Mobley's an all-star, putting up like close to 20 points per game. He could probably is going to be an all-star this year anyways, I feel like.
But like how
with the defense.
Yeah.
Because like last year Jaren Jackson averaged like the same numbers. He was like 16 and 8 and like was an all-star.
But people just
So like I feel like Mobley could be that same guy this year.
Yeah, I think that's possible. I guess it's tougher because like I think most people like Garland.
I guess I would say if Garland and Mitchell
Garland,
both, that's a great point.
I don't know. Like Jaren's kind of was the clear-cut number 2 on the team
that's
last
a good point,
year, I guess, and that might not be. It could be the case.
Do you think that?
The leap that you're
here's a
talking
question: after this year, is Jared Allen on the Cavs going into the next season?
I'm gonna go with yes.
Okay.
I actually think that Mobley, like I worry about him being the 5 a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Like, I mean, they also are not good rebounders for how big that they are.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Mobley struggles a little bit on the boards.
Even though he averaged 9 a game.
He's not a good screener. And you do want a guy that can set good screens to help out Mitchell and Garland.
That's a good point. I mean, he's not like as big as he is. He's not the like burliest guy. Like
Mobley? He's very thin.
like exactly.
He's
like
very
he
thin.
definitely is like got a like Mitchell Robinson
he's really
obviously
long.
dominated
Exactly.
him. Yeah.
Just like the physical nature of it, I think that Mobley's kind of lacking in right now. Now, obviously, he's very young. Maybe he goes into that. But I think right now, like Mobley has to figure out how to insert himself and assert himself while being the 4 and while having Allen in the paint.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a big believer in Mobley's jumper really at all. I think like, even if he does get like respectable from as like a catch and shooter, like near 35% or whatever, it's so slow. Like he takes so long to get it up that you're going to be able to close out.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be able to close out after gapping off him.
And that's probably just not what the Cavs want.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think that it is kind of clunky. I think that Mobley maybe, I love Evan Mobley. Like I love watching him. I think that he might be a little bit harder to build around than we sort of thought heading into the draft.
It's a good point.
Not to say he's not incredible or that, you know,
like
he's not
Mobley
an awesome
with
piece.
Al Horford would be nice.
That would be awesome. But Al Horford's just a perfect fit for everywhere.
Yeah.
So like you can totally say that, you know?
That's a
like,
great point.
Maybe Mobley does get better at some of the stuff that you expect of a 5.
And he could. He's obviously still young.
He's
Still,
so
he
young.
definitely could
I'm
get
just
way
saying,
better.
like for this season, I think Allen, that you need to play Allen.
Yeah.
next to him.
Yeah, I like that take. All right, moving on to the Dallas Mavericks. This was a team that obviously missed the playoffs last year entirely just so they could get a top 10 pick. Maybe that guy that they drafted 12th overall technically is your X factor.
Sure is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Derek Lively?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, how often are rookies in this situation that Derek Lively's about to be in?
We need you to be the center of our defense.
Be the anchor of our defense with pretty weak defenders in front of you. Day one, he was a one and done freshman. He's very young. He's pretty raw. Like he's not like a high
definitely
pick.
raw.
You know,
but he
like
could block
wasn't
a
like
lot of
top
shots.
3 pick. Like normally the 10th pick isn't starting right away.
No,
on a good
like
team,
never
or on a team that's supposed to compete.
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, I think if he's up for the challenge, that'd be awesome, and I'm really excited to see how he does it. I guess I don't know if I believe super heavily that he will be year one, which is not a slight to him. But he's not like, I don't know. You got to be like special, I think, to be able to do that. And I'm not sure. I can't bet on that with their.
I think the thing that you can kind of like maybe get your hopes up for if you're a Mavericks fan is like last year we saw 2 like middle to late first round centers in Mark Williams and Walker Kessler. Like especially really, Kessler, obviously, really good defensively in their rookie season. Like Kessler's a lot different though.
Kessler's definitely
like
different,
Kessler is
old.
Yeah, exactly. He was played in college for a couple of years.
Even Mark Williams, I feel like is more developed, like physically.
Yeah, yeah. Lively he's pretty scrawny for as tall as he is.
Yeah,
so
it's not like he's super skilled or anything,
right?
You know, like he is just kind of a role man.
Yeah, he's probably gonna block shots. Yeah. Like that's kind of what you want him to do at least. Do you think he'll start day one over like Dwight Powell?
Seems like it, yeah, but I think it'll end up being Powell.
Yeah,
a lot of Mavericks fans don't like Dwight Powell.
Yeah.
He's not very
great.
Hey, man,
yeah,
he sets a good screen and
he'll get you some rebounds. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't complain.
Right.
He does the gritty work.
All roads lead back to Dwight Powell.
I thought about going with Derek Lively, but I decided to end up going with Josh Green, just because like of a defensive wing. This team doesn't
killed us in the preseason.
He did. Grant Williams, I don't know if he's going to be like that defensive wing. I assume he starts. He probably starts at the 4, right?
Yeah.
Like Green and Williams start, or does Hardaway start?
Green might come off the bench.
He might, because Hardaway is like always started as a Maverick, like when he's healthy.
Yeah. Did you know Tim Hardaway and Cade Cunningham are like best friends?
Really?
Or like really good. Like Cade wanted Tim Hardaway on the Pistons. So
really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't remember. I think like Cade
Tim Hardaway
trained with him or something.
I'm trying to think if they're like, is
Tim Hardaway
from
went to
Dallas?
I don't know.
I don't know. I guess he plays for Dallas.
Did his dad? He plays for Dallas.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of like, because Cade's from Dallas, obviously. Yep. So I'm just trying to think of like how they would be connected.
I don't remember. I think it had something to do with like Cade rehabilitating somewhere. Okay. With Tim Hardaway.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I'm an MSU guy, but Tim Hardaway Jr. has always been a guy that I've been a fan of.
He was nice in 2K back.
Dude, I was literally about to say that. He had that Ruby card that one year, dude.
Yes,
that was
I remember that.
That it was when he was on the Atlanta Hawks. Oh, that. Well, I think he was on the Knicks, but it was a Hawks. It was a Hawks card, though. I'm pretty sure the one that I'm thinking of.
I'm thinking of the Knicks card.
But either way, like he's always been nice in 2K. But yeah, I am going with Josh Green though. I just think that he can be that like defensive wing for them. Only started in 21 out of 60 games last year, but basically all of those came at the end of the year after they traded Dorian Finney-Smith, obviously. So I think that he shot 40% from 3 last year on 2.5 attempts. Like it's not that bad. I think he's definitely going to be playing more minutes this year, played a little bit under 25 minutes per game last year. And if he can really be like that clamps guy that shoots 40% from 3 again, I don't see how he can't start over Tim Hardaway Jr. just because they need him out there, you know?
Bad news, dude.
What?
Jaden McDaniel signed his extension with Minnesota.
Oh, you were literally
he's
just
not a
tweeting about
Piston.
that today, weren't you? How?
Me and AJ have talked
What's the number?
extensively about Jaden McDaniels being a Piston.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
This offseason.
He is the 4.
5-year, 136.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
I'm trying to do the math.
136 divided by 2 is
So he got like 20, a little bit over
68.
25.
So 34 a year, right?
Yeah.
No, that's not right.
No, because 30
Yeah,
million
no,
times
it's
5 would be
not right.
150.
No, that's yes, correct.
And 20 times 5 would be 100. So it's 134.
no, it'd be 124.
124 is
No,
what it is?
no, it's 136.
Okay. Oh,
Would
136.
it be 24 a year?
Yeah. Yeah, 24 years sounds right. Because 20 times, no, it'd be more than that.
It would be more than that.
No, because
20
25 times 5 is 125.
28 a year?
Yeah. So it's in between 25 and 30. It's like 26, 27.
26 times. Oh, it's a 5-year.
This
deal.
is
I'm doing
hilarious.
This is horrific podcasting.
It's like,
I don't know.
It's like
It's a lot.
27.
I used to be very
It's a
good
lot
at
of
mental
money.
math.
I mean,
that
like
was
he's
like my one skill in like high
Was
school.
math?
Was like I was just sick at mental math. I can't do it anymore.
yeah.
Now, really.
I mean, I clearly can't either. So
I was a horrific student.
that's a lot of money, though. I mean, like he's obviously a great player, but like that's a bag for sure.
Absolutely. He deserved.
Yeah.
I don't know if he could have got overpaid.
Was the biggest snub of all defensive team last year.
Maybe the biggest snub I remember ever.
Could
Legitimately, I thought he was the best wing defender in the league last
be.
year.
Yeah, I think a
Didn't
lot
get
of people would agree with that too.
The thing is, though, like he was listed at forward, but that's where like Evan Mobley and Jaren Jackson are listed.
Yeah.
And they just have different roles.
Which
So like they are probably more.
are they getting
valuable.
rid of that with the All NBA teams
It's
too?
positionless.
Like,
It's all
like
positionless.
with the That's
So
what I'm
all,
saying.
all
yeah.
defensive teams are positionless, but like there are people, I bet, that there's going to be a lot of balance that are all centers
Yeah,
because of just generally the train of thought is
yeah, exactly.
bigs are more
They
valuable
run the defense,
defensively.
yeah.
Which is true. Like
It definitely
that
could
just
happen.
is
I mean,
true.
there could be a first team all defense with Bam, Jaren,
yeah,
Mobley, Rudy,
Wemby.
Wemby.
Like that could very well
There's
be
your
it.
5.
And it might be right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that might be accurate.
That's not. I mean, it still leaves room for the second team guys. I guess.
5 more centers.
Probably, yeah.
Isaiah Hardenstein.
Oh God.
Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, they'd give Mitchell Robinson the nod over him.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the defending champions, the Denver Nuggets. I wrote more than 2 names here because I haven't decided who. I did.
I wrote 3 names here too.
Seriously?
Bro, we are locked
Okay,
in.
tell
We
me
are
who your
locked
3
in.
names are. If they're the same as me, that'd be actually hilarious.
Hold on.
Because the way I viewed it, I guess I'll talk.
All right.
The way I viewed it is who takes the Bruce Brown role. That's kind of how I viewed it.
Okay.
I originally thought about putting Zeke
That's
Naji,
kind of how I did it too.
and I thought about doing him, but then I was like, the Jeff Green role isn't as important. I think that the Bruce Brown role is more important.
Right.
So I wrote Julian Strother / Peyton Watson / Jalen Pickett.
Oh, wait, what was your third one?
Jalen Pickett.
Oh, I didn't put it.
Who was the third one?
I put Christian Brown.
Okay, I didn't put him because I just feel like he's already
Yeah, he's certified.
got a role.
He's more certified.
Like he was part of that 8-man rotation,
sure.
So I think who takes the Bruce Brown role? I actually think it if I had to pick any of those 3, I'd pick Peyton Watson, mainly because he's
like
been
Peyton
there a
Watson.
year. However, Julian Strother has looked really good in
45%
preseason.
from 3 in preseason.
He's just a different player than Bruce Brown
Yes,
is. So I think that's where maybe they don't have
you
to be
can't just
Bruce Brown.
replace Bruce Brown.
Yeah,
he's very
yeah.
unique, but who can step into a role and
and
add
get
their own
significant
thing.
minutes coming into the
Exactly.
playoffs,
Exactly.
into a championship run. I think that Strother could totally do it. He was a 3-year college player, really good on one of the best teams in the country at Gonzaga. So he definitely has the experience. Jalen Pickett's kind of the same way. He was a 4-year college player at Penn State.
Yep.
Always hated playing against him, MSU, because he was just he was like the Penn State offense with Jalen Pickett was so fun. He would stand at the elbow and be like the center, but he's really the point guard. And they would just spam dribble handoffs, and he would fake it and go to the hoop and shoot an elbow jump.
That's how
shot.
Tosin Abuam played.
Yeah, exactly. Like the offense was actually so fun to watch with Penn State last year. So I think that Pickett could be that guy because he just has he's not going to shoot threes. Didn't shoot threes in college. Not going to shoot threes in the NBA. That's fine. If you can just be an elite defender and he's a pretty good playmaker and has great strength for the guard that he is. He's not very fast, but I think he could step into that role. And Peyton Watson kind of didn't play a lot last year, but he kind of lit it up from 3 in his time, and he's pretty athletic. Don't know if he'll be a defender or anything.
Freak athlete,
Yeah, exactly.
So where I'm at with Peyton, I think him and Brown off the bench could just be this freakishly athletic, flying around defensively at 200 miles per hour, group of guys that are just making life hell for every bench perimeter player.
Yeah.
Those 2 dudes are just so athletic, and then they'll probably run out and transition quite a bit. And Peyton Watson's super, I don't know, like he's very twitchy. He's kind of got like all the physical tools are there with Peyton Watson. He's not super refined or anything yet. I don't know. I think the jumper, like, it was just such a small sample size.
Yeah,
we got to figure it out.
Definitely. And in college, he didn't play like at all either.
Yeah,
like,
it was crazy. They basically drafted him based on what he did in high school.
Basically, yeah,
right?
Which is a risky thing to do, especially
Absolutely.
from the Nuggets, because they've kind of just been the team that, hey, we're taking the best college player. So.
Yeah, but I mean, I think like him and Brown in particular are probably going to have to cover the bases, sort of that Bruce Brown left, and just playing. Like making good decisions and stuff like that is kind of a step that they have to take to really be useful here. But I think that their athleticism, what they can do defensively, will be enough to give the Nuggets a little bit more.
And that's kind of why they traded back into the first round this year, because they just wanted to go get another Christian Brown because he was very impactful.
When they traded back, I was like, they're drafting Jordan Walsh.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't, dude. Well, everyone the Celtics fans are high on Walsh.
Yeah, he's nice.
He's good at Arkansas for sure.
He's really good.
Okay, let's move on to the funnest one potentially yet, because it involves our team, the Detroit Pistons. This one for me was really hard because, like, what does it mean? Like, I'm intrigued by everyone.
Yes,
so
correct.
So what does it mean as far as X Factor? I kind of made a decision. I wrote 2, but one of them has a question mark next to it because it just kind of depends. But I'll let you go first. Who is the X Factor?
I just went with Stu
Okay.
from an X Factor perspective because we talked about it earlier, so we don't gotta harp on it a ton. But just like if he can shoot, he makes things so much easier from a lineups perspective, and just makes the general construction of the team makes a lot more sense if teams care about Isaiah Stewart behind the 3-point line.
Yeah. So I wrote first Isaiah Livers with a question mark because if we trade Bojan Bogdanovic, which not saying it's going to happen, but like definitely a possibility, maybe more likely than not, who knows, and Isaiah Stewart can't shoot threes, I don't see why Isaiah Livers can't get a shot to be the starting power forward.
Agree 1,000%.
Like he has the tools that of a modern day 3-and-D wing, and I think he could play the 4 like. So I would love to give him an opportunity once he's healthy. And what has he got, like 2 more weeks or something like that? They haven't given him an update. So
yeah, I don't know.
So maybe it's not. Was it be out for too long?
Was it supposed to be like 6 to 8 weeks from the time that he got hurt?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So he should be back like
pretty soon.
And hopefully we're not missing too much time without him, because he 1,000% should be a part of the rotation. He's a guy that he really is a guy that we don't have on the entire team.
Exactly.
And so and every NBA team needs guys like this. I love Livers. I loved him in college too, even though I was an MSU fan, like, which is weird because like Michigan basketball is kind of weird with me. Like there's guys I just love that go to Michigan, even though I hate Michigan.
I like Jet Howard a lot.
I like Jet, dude, and all my Michigan fans
they all hate him,
dude. And I'm like, bro, that guy's gonna be
disconnect.
That guy's gonna be an NBA player.
I'm not like a big college sports fan. Like I watched.
I'm a pretty big college basketball guy.
Yeah.
But football,
but like, I don't root really necessarily super hard for anything in college sports or like care a ton. Like that, there's a disconnect I think in scouting a lot between like college fans and like people who are just scouting or like watching based on potential.
And Jet Howard screamed
Anthony
that.
Richardson's the biggest one.
Yeah,
ever.
Exactly.
Every college football fan was like, this dude sucks.
Which,
and
like, he wasn't that good in college.
No,
like,
he wasn't like a good college quarterback,
wise.
but it's like if I'm scouting him and like the tools that he has and what he's shown on tape, it's like this guy's sick.
Exactly. And I think Jet Howard was the same way. Like they would get my Michigan friends would get both my roommates are Michigan fans, and they're like pretty hardcore Michigan fans.
Yeah.
I'm an MSU guy.
He wasn't an awesome college player.
Exactly. Like he wasn't. But like you watch him play, it's like that dude should be in the NBA right now.
Right.
Like just on the way that he plays.
Yes.
Like he will be a good NBA player. And I think but Livers was that same way. Like I loved Livers. He obviously had the unfortunate injury that made him fall in the draft.
Yeah.
But I just think that he could be that guy for like we were always talking about like who is the 4? We're a 4. I think that is kind of how we're feeling. Like we're a 4 away from like having a really good core. If you don't believe it's Isaiah Stewart, basically.
Right.
Jaden McDaniels obviously would have been like the ideal guy.
Yes.
But I think Isaiah Livers like has a chance to be that guy. It's probably not going to happen, but who knows? I think that he just could be a valuable guy for us. But the other guy I wrote was Asar Thompson. Like if Asar Thompson is just like as good as he like we think he could be.
Yeah.
Like I remember we talked earlier, like will Asar Thompson be all rookie? Like it's almost like he should be first team all rookie at this point. I feel confident
that he should be first team all rookie.
He might average
like
a double, dude.
That's the thing. I was gonna say
that's
like
crazy.
It's tough because like he probably won't score as much as Brandon Miller or something.
No.
Or like if Keontae George is getting minutes on the Jazz, he's gonna have better numbers or whatever. Will those guys be more impactful than Asar? I don't think so. Like it seems unlikely, but I don't know. It's just different voting criteria based on different people. Like I don't think Herb Jones was all rookie.
No, he wasn't.
You know what I mean? And he probably should have.
Totally should have. Yeah.
It's kind of a similar thing where it's like this dude's just going to impact the game in a bunch of different ways. He's not going to score a lot of points or whatever, but just defensively, he's a monster already.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't. necessarily have the most faith that Asar will be first team all rookie, and it's just an awesome class.
Yeah,
there's just a lot of really.
I saw a tweet today that said this top 5 like has the potential to be like generational, and I was looking at it, and I was like, dude, it like actually does.
So.
Like,
I think so.
Like Amen probably won't play that much,
which sucks.
I don't think.
I love Amen.
Yeah, I do
really
too.
do.
I like them both. Like they're both so fun to watch. Okay, let's move on to a good team. Unfortunately, like because we weren't just talking about a good team. The Golden State Warriors. This is an interesting team this year because they added Chris Paul. Yep. So maybe he's your X factor. Who do you got though?
So you're relatively new to my sports fandom. Chris Paul is like my favorite. Like that's my ride or die guy. All things considered, like I've never rooted for anybody the last couple of years as hard as I've rooted for Chris Paul. Just so you know, that's my bias. That's
I have a Chris Paul New Orleans jersey. So
dude, I used to want one so bad. Like
it's like not the cool one though.
Oh, is it? What color is it?
It's gold. It's not like the light blue one.
That's what
I
was thinking.
That's the cool
one. I used to
one.
be looking for a light blue one.
But it's like kind of small. I'll show it to you.
Okay.
It's cool though. But anyways.
Yeah. So Chris Paul is actually not my X factor or whatever.
Okay.
Or I don't kind of know.
I'm just saying X factor, but like it's not actually X factor.
I know what you
yeah.
mean. I think like you kind of know what he is, which is kind of why I went away from him. I think he's going to be a good fit. Like I think it's going to work. I'll say that much. I think he's just so smart. He's going to get the ball to everybody in places that they want it. Like I think that he's going to be, really great decision maker. All the awesome things that he can still do. Obviously, he's like 40, but
yeah,
I understand if he's off the bench or whatever. But I'm excited for him with Steph Curry for sure. But I actually went with Kuminga, Jonathan Kuminga, the cum bucket. He's had an awesome preseason. I think everybody knows how incredible the physical tools are. Like they pop out every time that you watch him. But it's been a couple years now. We've been waiting for him to maybe take a step, to maybe sort of put things together a little bit. But he hasn't yet. But I do think it's coming, and I think he has the opportunity to add some juice to this lineup that kind of I feel like could use some, like a little bit more athleticism.
There's like none in that start. I mean, like Wiggins, I guess.
Wiggins is athletic, but like Draymond is on the decline in that way. Just like guys that kind of jump off the screen and stuff. Iggy's gone. I don't know. Like there is room for another big time defensive wing that like a guy that can create some of like an event creator. I think. And Gary Payton II, he's on the team.
Yeah.
Is he healthy?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
I believe so.
I feel like you can't really trust in him to be healthy. Maybe
Right.
that's off base, but I feel like he's hurt a lot.
No, he is hurt a lot. Yeah.
But as guys get older, I think that Kuminga is going to be important, like especially day to day in the regular season with a really old team, like and in the playoffs too. But having a guy that you can throw at like really good wings and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they need one,
and Wiggins is kind of their only guy that's like that.
Exactly, and I think it's time for Kuminga to sort of assert himself that way.
I also have Kuminga as the guy. I think too it's just like he's like the only young guy left on the squad that like maybe has a chance. Moody, but I feel like he doesn't have a chance.
I think Moody's got a shot.
Like it just from playing standpoint.
He played in the Kings series.
I guess he played more than Kuminga did, honestly, like in the playoffs. Sure. Yeah, so I guess you're right.
Pajemski, I think's had a shot. Actually,
I want to say that.
Wasn't there,
I like
really
him,
like
but like
I love him.
But like, is he gonna play ever?
I had him in the lottery when I did like pre-draft.
Really? Yeah. He was really good fun to watch in college too. So. I also think that like maybe if Kuminga can like because they're gonna run small ball 5 obviously with Draymond Green probably starting at the 5 this year and Looney
quite a bit. Yeah.
Looney comes off the bench.
I actually don't.
Looney shouldn't come off the bench.
I feel like it makes more sense if he starts and Chris Paul comes off the bench.
But like they said, Chris Paul's starting, so I don't know what that means.
I guess it doesn't matter like that much.
No. But I just think if Kuminga can play small ball 5, basically is kind of what I was getting at. Like I think that adds a lot of value to your lineup.
Yeah, because he's so different than
exactly. He's so athletic. Like I think he could be really fun. Like him and Chris Paul with Steph, Clay, and Wiggins around. Like that's just a fun little dynamic there. Absolutely. So I also have Jonathan Kuminga. Moving on to a team that I think you could pick a lot of different guys for, the Houston Rockets. Who is the guy that you got for Houston?
I went with Sengun.
Okay,
because I think Sengun is one of the more interesting cases in the NBA to me. I'll ask you, what do you think about Sengun? Like, do you think Sengun is like the guy on that team? Do you think
the franchise guy is what you're saying?
Do you think he has a chance to be the franchise?
Yes,
guy?
I think he has a chance to be.
Would you pick him?
No.
Okay.
But it's hard because I think it's very easy to compare him to like Sabonis, right? Whereas like he could like that's kind of the ideal like
Sabonis is 7 feet tall,
and Sabonis also is big and he's muscular and he gets a lot of rebounds.
Right.
Sengun plays a weird style of basketball.
Yeah.
Like and I don't think you can really compare him to Jokic. Like I think they really are different as much as like
Yeah, that's like one of those guys that you can't really compare.
The thing that is intriguing about it though is when Ime Udoka got there, he said like Şengün should be like the hub of the offense.
He should be used as a hub.
And like he wasn't at all really with Steven Silas, who is now on the Pistons coaching staff. But I think that like it's going to be fun to watch Şengün this year. I don't think I'm as high on Şengün as like everyone else is.
I think
a lot of people think he can be like a superstar, and I just don't really know.
It's almost, but like here's the thing, like I'm with you. I think Şengün's super fun to watch. So
Totally,
like, I'd say I'm a fan of him.
He's very
because
fun
he is
for
just
sure.
an
The
extremely
Rockets
fun player.
team has a lot of fun, dudes.
Absolutely. But if Şengün isn't like that guy offensively, like that guy, like all-star, at least all-star level, if not superstar level, it becomes hard to see the path to building a really good team around him because there's so many deficiencies defensively.
He like really could be the worst starting defensive center in the NBA this year.
He's up there.
Yeah.
Nurk.
Yeah.
Shout out Nurk.
Hey, but they wanted a defensive stop.
Yeah. That's so like.
But if he
has to be so good.
Exactly. But if he can bring it defensively or offensively, then there's a world. But also,
I think he has to bring it at such a high level.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I have no doubt that he's a good like a really good offensive player. He can score. He can pass. He can rebound. But it's like. The bar is so high for you to believe that because he has to be your number one offensive guy.
Yeah.
If you're gonna live with playing him because of how good or how bad he is defensively.
That's why I think, like I said, you can do a lot of different guys for this because I think Jalen Green could be the X factor. Like, is he going to establish himself as the best guy on the team? Because I don't think he has yet.
I'd take Amen. Amen's my number one pick from the Rockets.
I think, and obviously once we see him play like that, we'll see if that is.
But he might not even
answers
start.
that. He's not going to start. I feel like Fred VanVleet is probably going to average the most points per game on this team this year, which is kind of sad.
Right.
I'd love to see Jalen Green have another year of like. Can he take the 20?
I would just love to see Amen and Jalen sort of gelling.
It'd be so fun. They'd be dude.
That's the most athletic backcourt ever.
Yeah, literally, dude. That's so much fun.
Yeah.
But the reason why I think the Şengün stuff is weird is because the guy I picked as my X factor, Jabari Smith. I wish I would have found the stat because I tried to find it, but this is just based off of memory. I remember there was a stretch last year where Şengün I think was hurt, and then also when he came back, they just decided to bring him off the bench, where Jabari Smith started at the five for like a 2-week span, and he had easily the best span of his rookie season so far. He had a double-double in like every game, like rebounded the ball well, scored the ball well, and I think he defended like not like great, but better than Şengün,
right?
You know, so I think that like Jabari Smith Jr., it's going to be interesting to see. I just think there's no way he like shoots the ball as bad as he did last year this season.
No, I agree.
Like
and he's had an awesome summer.
He has, and I'm a believer in Jabari Smith. Like I really did like him coming out of the draft a lot.
Same.
If I'm being honest, I liked him more than Banchero, which is a bad take at this point.
Did you have him one? I had Chet one.
I had Jabari 1, Chet 2,
no.
And I was on that the whole time, even like. The random,
I didn't see it with
last
Paolo,
second.
I feel like an idiot.
I do too.
I think if Paolo came around now, I would.
I just thought that Jabari Smith was so NBA player.
I thought he was a little bit better of a defender than he is.
Yeah,
I would say. Like I thought he was like a 20. Like I thought, this guy could conceivably be like all defense. Yes. I don't think that anymore. Really,
there's a chance, but probably not.
Unlikely.
Probably not.
And I thought I thought he was a little bit crazier as a shooter. Obviously, it's early. But I guess I thought I was like
the reason why I loved him was because like at Auburn, like their guards
horrible.
Like
one of them's from Detroit.
Wendell Green. Yes.
Yeah.
I actually my co-host Easton played against him in AAU like a bunch of times. So
AJ.
Yeah, really? Okay, yeah. So like
or AJ's little brother did one
like,
or two.
Super fun player. Wendell Green is. Love watching him, but like isn't the guy that's trying to get the ball to Jabari Smith Jr., you know? So I think that like that's kind of why I was super high on Jabari Smith because it was like he did not play with great offensive like guys.
You thought that there was something untapped.
He did exactly. Like he did not have him in the best situation, and he still looked really good. So that's kind of how I viewed it.
Yeah.
But I still think Jabari Smith Jr. like has a high ceiling. Like I think he still has all-star potential.
I think all-star potential. Yeah, I could probably get there.
Like at the ceiling. Not like a 10.
I didn't think he had a crazy ceiling when he was at Auburn. Though. Like I didn't ever. I was like, he's not gonna be a number one.
I don't think so either. I just thought like next to Jalen Green, if he takes that step,
that's kind of where I was
really
at too.
I think I'm with you with Amen being the guy though. Going forward.
I think Amen's the best prospect out of all of them.
But it's not a bad situation to have with Houston having basically 4 guys where you're like, which one of these guys is our best player?
Yeah, that's true. It's. People are low on Jalen Green right now. I don't know that I agree. I think he just hasn't been in a great context for himself, and not saying that he he didn't contribute to the context because he does to a degree. But
I just don't. I don't think Jalen Green has Like, I hate to do the comparison.
Yeah.
But, like, Cade will have a higher ceiling and career than
Yeah, I
Jalen
think
Green.
so. Just because Jalen Green's not quite the playmaker, not quite the engine,
Right.
and that's okay. I think that he could be such
He
a
could still be a
dynamic
great
two
player,
guard
and
next
he
to a men.
Could be a
my God.
multiple-time All-Star for sure. Like,
just in my head, a men brings the ball down the floor, gets to the cup, but, there's a rim protector there or whatever. He passes it to Jalen Green. Well, the defense is now in like disarray. And so Jalen Green
and there he goes.
Yeah, exactly. Like an unbalanced defense, Jalen Green has the ball. He's gonna get to the rim. He's gonna make it happen or hit a three. Like, I think he's a dynamite scorer. I just don't know that. I don't know if he translates to being a number one on a really good team yet. And maybe he could get there.
But with
maybe
the men,
he's such a good scorer.
maybe it helps
But I
him
think,
out a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's an awesome pairing. I just wish that. I hope that they'll play together a lot.
Yeah,
is what
I really do too.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the Indiana Pacers. Who do you got for the Pacers?
The Pacers. I went Jarris Walker.
Okay. Another rookie.
Yes, another rookie. I was a big Jarris fan heading into the draft, I would say.
I'm gonna double check the video real quick.
Okay, go for it.
You can keep talking.
All right. I was a big Jarris fan heading into the draft. I think he's like a special defensive player, or a special defensive prospect, I should say, but I think he will be a special defensive player, and I think that you'll start to see that pretty quickly as year one. I think, he's a super smart basketball player, just a really high feel, high IQ player for being so young. He's a physically he's a monster. I think, you pair all those things together, the jump shot continues to come along. He shot it okay at Houston. I think he was like 34% from three or something like that. But I think, it could take a minute for the jumper to be respected, but if he can build a little bit of some rapport with Halliburton as far as being like a really good cutter, being a good rebounder, and bringing what I think he can bring defensively, I think he'd be a fun wrinkle for this Pacers squad.
I went with a guy that just got paid today, Aaron Nesmith. I picked him, just got 3-year, $33 million contract. The reason I think I went with him is because, like, what's going on with Buddy Hield mainly? Like, Buddy Hield probably, I haven't heard any rumors on if he's going to, like, sit out or not. Obviously, he, like, requested the trade, so.
Yeah.
I think
he's going to sit out.
I would think so, but, like, they should just trade him. Like, they're not a team that a guy should be sitting out on, Like, that's like a team that's good type of situation. So, I picked Aaron Nesmith, though, just because he attempted the most threes per game last year outside of Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton on the Pacers. So, like, can he step in and be the guy that just replaces Buddy Hield? Buddy Hield was a huge part of their offense last year.
Him up.
And that I figured he would be getting him up too. But I feel like Aaron Nesmith could shoot him at a higher clip. So that's why I rocked with him. I thought about doing like Andrew Nembhard, but
I like Nembhard.
I just don't know like how big of his role is this year. Like who starts?
Well, I don't think
like did Bruce and Obi both start?
I think they
Bruce has to start.
I think Bruce start. I think they both start.
Yeah.
Kinda.
There's a world where
maybe Obi doesn't start and Jarris does.
That's what I was like. There's a world where that happens for sure. But I think that Bruce 1,000% like has. You just paid him like $20-some million.
Agree. Yeah, and I mean he's better than Nesmith and Nembhard right now. But I think like the Nembhard Mathurin backcourt should be really good. And I don't know that it was like great statistically last year as far as like on off stuff, but
I don't really
that
know.
should grow into. I think it was pretty bad because I know Halliburton's on off stuff was really great.
Right.
So, like,
true.
The flip
If
side
they
of that would be
lost
his
a lot of
backup
games,
being bad. I think that they should end up being they're really young, but they should grow into being a really good backcourt together. And, Nembhard's a pretty awesome
and you have
defender.
McConnell there too.
Yeah,
to
McConnell,
help him
who's
out.
just, I forgot all about that, but he's a really good backup guard. Like, it's a pretty good unit. I guess that he'll probably be in the back.
Probably.
Maybe
Maybe they just have
slide
Nesmith
down.
the 3, because Nembhard's play the 2 for sure.
I don't know. But, they got to figure it out a little bit.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
They need to trade Buddy Hield. Like, why is he sitting around?
That's probably just about
Teams
it.
could so use him.
Yeah, agree.
All right, moving on to the LA teams. Let's start off with the Los Angeles Clippers. I'll start with this one. This is like the biggest like superstar one that I have for an obvious reason. Kawhi Leonard is the X factor for the Clippers. Can he play in the playoffs? I'm not even saying in the regular season. This is a strict playoffs one. And it's almost like Kawhi Leonard / Paul George at this point, but it's just such a disservice that 4 years, this is their 5th year on the Clippers, those two. That's so weird to think about. Because when they got traded there, I was like, me and Easton on the show were like, dude, they are at minimum like going to the finals at least like twice. Like minimum.
Really?
Like I was so high on the Clippers when that stuff happened.
Yeah.
Obviously, how could I not be?
Right.
And And obviously, as
Lakers.
they've started to, I mean, I still was like big, and I was just like so excited. Like we're gonna see Clippers, Lakers every year.
Absolutely.
Haven't seen it once.
No.
Could have seen it in the bubble, but obviously the terrible Game 7 performance from the Clippers.
Dude, I was thinking about that the other. Do you remember? This is a little bit off topic. Well, it's on topic, but off track, I guess. Do you remember? So Paul George does the playoff P thing.
Yes.
Right, and then he has
Pandemic
a horrific
P.
playoff. He has a horrific playoffs, particularly against the Jazz. He gets like fucking killed by Joe Ingles. Like Joe Ingles absolutely tears him
and
apart.
he talked about that on his podcast.
And then after Joe Ingles like lights him up, like it has like 27 on him or whatever, and Paul George had like 12 points on horrific shooting, and Charles Barkley goes on TNT and he's like, "Well, they don't call me Championship Chuck."
I did not even know that Charles said that.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
so funny.
It's so funny. Playoff P.
Yeah.
Don't call me Championship Chuck.
I love how he did embrace the like called himself podcast P, you know, like because the pandemic P thing was.
I like Paul
definitely
George, but
I love Paul George too, and I hope that these guys can play in the playoffs, man. We have the only time we've seen them play in the playoffs together was in the bubble, and it was bad, but like that would not happen again. Because think about the other individual times. Obviously, when they went to the Western Conference Finals, like they played together, I guess, in that first series against
Dallas, right?
Against Dallas, and then they played against Utah. Most of the time in the second round, Kawhi got hurt. They were down 3-2. Paul George wins them 2 straight games, and they go to the Western Conference Finals. And Paul George played really good. Even against the Suns, he played really good, too. It just wasn't enough. And then last year, no Paul George. Kawhi Leonard comes out in Game 1 against Phoenix and just kills them, dude.
Yes, he was unreal.
That was so fun to watch, and I legit was like, oh my God.
Oh my God, are they going to win?
I was like, oh my, the Clippers are like, if they get Paul George back, it's over.
Yeah.
And then Kawhi just gets hurt and it's done. So like,
that was the Russ show.
It
went
was
crazy.
He did go crazy. So I just think that just be healthy by the playoffs. I don't care about games played this year. Both of them healthy come playoffs time, I could buy in on it.
Yeah, I mean that team.
But do they make it out of the? Do they even are they a top 6 seed? Like, are they not? Can they, with those guys
all
resting
depends on
and
health,
stuff?
dude.
Exactly.
You know, like it just so dependent on health. I guess I like their depth still a little bit, so they could get by to a 6 seed. But the West is
they're
tough,
starting
man.
to get old too. Like that
for sure.
team in general. Like,
but Kawhi's still really incredible.
oh yeah,
incredibly
totally
good.
But like Marcus Morris was not the guy. Is not the guy that he was when they got him.
No,
you
he's
know,
a bad
he wasn't the 20 points per game guy from the Knicks.
No, not quite.
Robert Covington has definitely taken a step
back. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I loved Robert.
I know, he was
I really
so fun.
Did. He was.
Who was your guy?
I went with Russell Westbrook.
I thought about that.
The playoff series last season was incredible. That was such a fun story. Obviously, the regular season was rough for Russ, particularly on the Lakers. But I think that this is a better context for him.
Yeah.
You know, like they're able to sort of accommodate some of his weaknesses a little bit better, give him a chance to show his strengths a little bit more. There's more opportunity for him to just kind of grab and go and run in transition and be sort of a lead playmaker, which to me has always been his superpower is his playmaking.
Right.
And so this gives him a chance for that to be apparent, for him to use that, for that to be something that he can stand on and say, hey, this is why I'm on the floor. This is what I bring to the table. And I think he's going to be important night to night in the regular season because, like you said, like Kawhi and Paul George, we don't know when they're going to play.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be shots available.
Russ will always play too. That's one thing about Westbrook.
Always play, and he'll bring it every night, and he'll be Russell Westbrook every single game. And there's going to be touches available, and Russell Westbrook loves touches. So, yeah, I think he's important.
You think they could? Do you think they are the team to get James Harden still if that happens?
I think if they're the only ones that even seem interested. Right?
Yeah,
so
that's a good point. Yeah.
I think it makes some sense.
I think it does too. Like a lot of people are kind of out on it, but
I get it. People
Harden has the playmaking ability to
Harden's still really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Harden, awesome.
And I was I know he had that thing where it's he wanted to go back to Houston so he could win the scoring title or whatever. I feel like he's totally okay averaging 18 points per game on the Clippers.
He just was 21
literally
and 12.
I don't think he wants to be
and he'll have the opportunity to still score.
Yeah, totally, because Kawhi and Paul George are going to sit out.
Exactly.
He definitely would still go off on the. I want that to happen.
They won't trade Terrence Mann.
Man, that's crazy.
27 years old.
He's their only
the youngest 27.
I'll say he's their only young guy, I guess.
Not even young. It's normal age. He'd be
Bones.
the oldest.
They got Bones.
They do got Bones.
That's
they do
about
got
it,
Bones.
though.
That's true.
All right, other LA team. Who do you got for the Lakers? This is kind of a tough.
I went LeBron.
Okay.
Will the jump shooting be back? That was a thing last year that happened, and I haven't heard people talk about it. But he just couldn't shoot for a while.
That's true.
It just left.
It did fall off.
And I think as a guy like Reeves continues to emerge, and I am a big Reeves believer.
Yeah.
I think that he is really, really good.
He really is.
And they got D'Lo in the backcourt, who's gonna have the ball quite a bit if you need him to.
Yep.
And I think he is a good regular season player. I'll say that about D'Lo. I know people are super out, but I do think he is really useful.
I mean, he shot 41%
from three
when he got on the
right?
Lakers last year. Yeah.
He was really helpful for them. But, with those two guys sort of being able to maybe take some more duties as far as just making decisions offensively, or like the offense running through them.
Right.
Not every possession has to go through LeBron. Maybe he can sort of focus back in defensively a little bit. I think that could be something to see. And last year, another thing that one of my favorite like LeBron things ever, and he's one of my favorite athletes ever. He just like turned into like the best cutter in the league last year.
Yeah, dude.
Like it was,
and
it was
he's
like,
so fun coming at the hoop too, because
Yes.
obviously like who's gonna try and block LeBron?
Right.
No
and
one.
he's like one of the best passers ever.
Yeah.
Like it's just perfect. He just excelled in that role. Year 21. Crazy.
It is crazy.
That's crazy.
There was I don't know if you saw that commercial that came out. I think it was either Nike or like Beats, one of the two. It was LeBron and his family commercial, and it was like Savannah like talking over like just the pictures of like LeBron and Bryce and Bronny.
Did I see that?
And it was like make sure that it was something about like tell them that you can't play with your son when he gets an NBA, and then do it again. And then it showed Bryce, and it was like,
yes.
what,
That's
dude?
crazy. That'd be
Like that's a bit.
That'd be like 25
Be
years.
like 45, dude. Like Bryce is like a junior in high school.
Yeah.
Like that is that seems a bit absurd.
Yeah, it'd be like 3 more years.
and also
minimum.
he's just like not the highly rated prospect that he's probably gonna be.
But I think LeBron could get him on a team.
yeah.
You
Oh
know?
yeah. He would
Like,
go one
that's
and
the
done
thing.
just because of LeBron.
Just because LeBron.
Yeah, exactly.
He'd have to.
Even if LeBron's not good anymore, just for the money that that franchise will receive.
Yeah. Well, but can LeBron even be like? I don't know. Do you think LeBron will ever be like bad?
No,
He's just so like smart.
he's never not a starter. Like
Yeah.
never.
I mean, just the passing, I think, will carry him
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah,
and
that's
he's a
good
freak
point.
athlete,
And
like,
it's
a real
and I
freak.
don't like at this point, is it really gonna go away? The athleticism, like
how much
before he
worse can it keep
retires,
going?
like
I think it will deteriorate a little bit.
yeah.
I mean, it's already
It's just
deteriorating.
yeah, no, it is,
You know.
but like it's still at an elite level, though. I
Oh
feel.
yeah, it's still awesome.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
and he's so like strong. and
exactly. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I went with D'Angelo Russell
stuff. Yeah.
for one reason
Really?
only, because he wants to be Derek White. Can
Yes.
he be Derek White?
I don't think so.
That's why I went there, because if he actually locks in defensively and like doesn't care about like isolation threes anymore, like it's just a lot of catch and shoot. And if he can actually like be that guy, not saying he's gonna be at the level, but like if he can
Yeah.
legit compete for like an all defensive, like get votes on an all defensive team,
D'Angelo Russell,
get
all
votes.
defensive team.
I'm not saying win.
Everybody gives votes.
If he wants to-
Isaiah Thomas used to give votes.
This will prove. I think we talked about this. This will prove how much defense really is about effort. If
I
D'Lo
think
like
I'm on the side of defense is more than effort.
no, I think it is too. But like if D'Lo comes out and is just clamps this season,
That would be crazy.
like is it really just like okay, the guys that
mostly
suck at
effort.
defense just like don't try.
but I think it's some of the guys.
Yeah, I mean you also have like to have the tools. You have to have speed, obviously. But like,
D'Lo has defended before.
yes,
When he was in Minnesota, there was a year where he was just kind of like this off-ball guy that was just like the head of like they're communicating everything.
Yeah.
When it was like Cat, like when it was D'Lo and Cat, those teams, and he was like a pretty good defender for like a
Yeah.
year or two there. So I like he can be at that level a little bit. It's never been consistent.
right. But
But-
I think if he is like, it really does raise the Lakers like potential.
Yeah,
a
it
lot.
helps. I mean, I
because
think
they just don't.
going to be good.
Like they don't have like an elite perimeter defensive guy. Like Reeves is solid for sure.
We're just solid.
I'm trying to think if they sign like
they have Vanderbilt.
yeah, you're right. They have Vanderbilt. He can definitely he guarded Steph Curry. I mean, basically the
he
whole
can guard
series. So
anybody.
yeah,
I
that's a
really
good
like
point.
Vanderbilt.
But that is just another guy if it is D'Angelo Russell.
And Vanderbilt like fucks your offense up if he's on the floor. 'cause
Yeah, they
teams
just
don't care at all.
let him shoot.
He's as much as
Torian
anybody.
Prince, like maybe he's up there
Not
in
elite,
age,
but,
but
yeah,
like
he's pretty good.
He
He's
could
definitely more than
you could
passable.
send him to do it, I guess, since they picked him up. Okay, Memphis Grizzlies. Who do you got for the Grizzlies?
Yeah, I think that this is kind of a bit of a lay. I just went Jaren Jackson here.
Yeah.
Now that Steven Adams is out, I think that it
Right.
made it pretty easy here.
Which is so unfortunate, dude.
Yeah, it really sucks. No Steven Adams. They don't have Ja for quite a bit. A lot's going to be on Tripp's plate.
Can
man.
he rebound?
Can he rebound? He's going to need to rebound. He'll be playing probably.
Can he not
5
foul
again.
out?
Can he not foul out is the other thing. Yeah, we'll probably need a rebounding jump. But I'm excited to see how he continues. Like now that he is a 5, how do his skills sort of is like the matchup nightmare kind of that he's
Right.
billed as, or that I think he is, or like he could be on a good night. How does he develop in that lane? Like how will the drives continue to go? How will he continue to beat closeouts? Because that's kind of his major skill on offense, like paired with his shooting.
Yeah, I love Jaren. Obviously, like I really hope he takes
Same.
a big leap. I went with Desmond Bane, just because of the first 25 games without Ja Morant.
Yeah.
What does this offense look like? Because you don't have obviously they were great without Ja Morant in the games without him the last couple of seasons.
But there was like Tyus Jones.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Tyus Jones is gone.
Melton.
He like ran stuff for them. Marcus Smart obviously like is solid, but he's not. Him and Tyus Jones are completely different players. So if Desmond Bane,
But
like,
I'll say Smart helps in that.
oh yeah, he definitely
will
helps
relieve
for
a little
sure.
bit of the non-job.
But I think like if Desmond Bane can really step up and just be like this go-to, like I'm gonna average like 26, 27 points per game until John Morant comes back, like that would be so huge for them. If not, if he still just is around 20, then I don't know like how this team scores a lot of points with John Morant being out, you know?
Yeah, I think that the offense will struggle.
I think so too.
Like,
I just feel like it kind of has to.
Bane is an important piece.
And obviously so is Jaren too,
yeah,
for sure.
For sure. I believe in Bane.
Yeah, I
really like him.
I like Bane a lot too, and he's got like one of the funniest builds ever.
He
so.
does.
And he's a shooter.
And he's a shooter. Yeah.
All right, the reigning Eastern Conference champion, Miami Heat. Who is the Heat's X factor this year? This is a good one because you could pick like any of them random like undrafted guys.
I wrote 2 down.
Or you could pick like a top guy.
Yeah, I wrote 2 down. I wrote Jovic.
Okay.
1. I think Jovic is awesome. Like that's the young guy that I believe in with the Heat a lot. I think I might pick him for most improved player if he's even allowed to win. I don't know. He didn't really.
I was looking at the odds today when I was doing the awards thing. There's a lot of guys you can pick, but Bruce Brown isn't one of them. I low-key kind of like Bruce Brown as well.
Bruce Brown, interesting. Okay. Most improved is such a hard thing to
predict.
It is. Because if you're predicting a guy, then that means that he's probably already showed something.
Exactly. That's what I said that the top guys of the award for most improved should never win. No, he shouldn't. Win. I would love if he does. Like obviously that's cool.
He shouldn't.
He shouldn't win.
Yeah.
It should be. I ended up picking. I'll just spoil it. I picked Reeves. I guess that's not like a bad one.
I don't think he should win either.
But like Reeves averaged like 12 points per game last year.
But like we know.
You're right.
He's really good.
I wanted to pick Bruce Brown because I'm trying to go from the formula of like the Markkanen formula and the Randall formula. Like you go to a new team, didn't really expect you to have a big role. Some reason you did. Like I don't really see Bruce Brown averaging like big numbers.
No.
But that's just why I'm trying to take that
makes
route.
Sense.
You know,
that makes sense. Yeah.
Because who else is like Obi Toppin? I guess is with him, but like
he's not. I don't think
who else went to a new team that like should just like all of a sudden take a huge leap? There's like not anyone.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I guess I don't got one. But
anyway, sorry. Back to the Miami Heat.
So, Jovic is one. I think that I don't know. I just think he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Guys that big that can handle like that and can move like that are generally pretty special. But I also went with Tyler Hero. Players to average 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists at age 23. It's 11 full-fledged superstars in Tyler Hero.
Really?
That's all that's really ever done it. I prefer Hero when he's able to move off the ball a little bit, when he's coming off screens and pin downs and things like that, and he's kind of running dribble handoffs and whatnot with Bam if he can, and et cetera. But they're probably going to need him to be pretty good on the ball because they don't really have a point guard room or just a ball handling room in general outside of like Lowry and
maybe RJ Hampton can take that leap this year.
True, he went crazy in that
Pistons legend
preseason. Yeah, I liked RJ Hampton.
Yeah, I did too. He was cool.
Yeah, I don't know. He fights on defense. He gets milk checked a lot. There's the white guy. There's the milk. Go at him. But they need a shot creator next to Jimmy.
Yeah,
like they really do come playoff time. And obviously they made their run last year without Hero, but I think that they need what he can provide this season.
Yeah, I also picked Hero. I just think that he's going to be on demon time this year based off of like what what happened in the offseason. He was just being thrown around in trade talks left and right. They don't like Kyle Lowry can't just be the only guard that does anything in this offense all year, with losing Gabe Vincent, obviously. So yeah, I think Tyler Hero is gonna have to play some point guard. Maybe he starts at point guard even, depending on if they want to start Duncan Robinson or something.
Lowry's not gonna play 80.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I did pick Hero. And he's got to prove that they need him. With them going to the finals without him, he's got to show them hey, you guys need me to go on a playoff run, or else they might. I don't want to say trade him because they'll never trade anyone for anyone. So.
No trades allowed in Miami. No. I do like Hero though. I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to watch him. Maybe he could be a most improved player guy. Is that one? Does that make sense?
Off of an injury,
what if he averaged 25?
Maybe. I guess.
Yeah,
it depends.
But he probably won't. So
he probably won't. Yeah.
All right, here's a good one. Milwaukee Bucks. Who is the X factor for the Bucks?
I went Chris Middleton.
Ooh, okay. I like
He's in a very precarious situation, I think, a pretty unique one. He's few players of his caliber offensively ever get the chance to be a distant third option. Like how often does that really ever happen where you're not even close to being second? And he's one of the better shooters of our generation. He's proven he can create for himself. He's proven he can create in high leverage situations. You can rely on him late games. I mean, he was basically locking up 50, 40, 90s every season, it felt like, for a little bit. But now they add Damian Lillard. Obviously, they still have Giannis, and he's kind of an afterthought. So I'm curious to see how he responds or how he is able to take advantage of that, because I do think he's a guy that will be able to take advantage of having less defensive attention on him. And He's obviously coming off an injury, but maybe also having less responsibility on offense. We'll see him bring back some of the defense that, we kind of expected from him, 3-4 years ago pre-injury. He's going to be important. And, yeah, Chris Middleton.
I like that Middleton pick because I kind of thought I just figured I would be like fishing for like those random bench guys like who's gonna like take a big leap this year.
Right. And one of them probably has to.
Yeah, I did go with Marjon Beauchamp just because like he's like the young guy out of the group too. Like we kind of know what Malik Beasley offers. We know what Pat Connaughton brings to the table.
Yeah.
Can Marjon Beauchamp like add to that group and be like a 3-and-D wing? Obviously he hasn't played an absurd amount so far. In his NBA career, he only played 13 and a half minutes per game last year, so all of his stats you kind of have to take with a grain of salt because he didn't play very much. But yeah, if he can really add like the defensive like wing guy, because Malik Beasley obviously doesn't bring that. He brings the shooting. The Lakers basically benched him last year because he couldn't play defense, even though he was a great shooter. And then Pat Connaughton he definitely is a solid defender. But if he doesn't bring it to the table offensively, then maybe Marjon Beauchamp can progress to be that guy. He did drop like 90 points in a Pro-Am game this offseason. So we'll see if he can do that in the NBA. All right, the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a team that have definitely like been. I was high on the Timberwolves last year, and I was wrong. I picked like Chris Finch to be coach of the year. I picked Minnesota to be like the 2 seed. And it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But I'm low key right back in on it this year with the Timberwolves. I'm spoiling the over under for Wednesday. Like I'm all over on the Minnesota. Don't care what it's at.
Me and you both.
It can be 52.5. I'm on the over.
I might be. I think I'm going to pick them to be like the 2 seed.
Literally, I'm the same way. Like that. This team I think is going to be so good in the regular season. But who's the X factor to get them to that point?
This was a tough one for me.
Yeah.
I would say.
I think you could pick any of the stars.
Yeah.
Or like
absolutely.
the guys.
Absolutely.
I guess.
Really anything, because they probably like the bench. I think is a little bit of a question mark.
Right.
So I think that there's probably some swing players there. But I ended up going with one of the stars. I went with Karl Anthony Towns.
I also did Karl Anthony Towns.
He had a really strong finish to that Denver series, if you remember. Will he be able to, like find the blend, find the balance as Anthony Edwards kind of really takes reins of this franchise, which hopefully should happen this year. Like this is Anthony Edwards' franchise. I feel like we're just kind of delaying him being the clear cut main guy. But he's got to figure out, balancing that and make himself useful. Despite that, I think that he should be able to. He's an unbelievable offensive talent. Truly.
Yeah.
Very few centers ever really have had the skill set that he does.
And the year before last, I mean, he was coming off of like one of the best big man seasons, just from a shooting offensive standpoint we'd ever seen.
Absolutely. And I mean, what can't he do kind of offense? I mean, he throws a lot of like some of his decision making on offense isn't very good, but him again finding that blend, making himself like the perfect kind of number 2 to Edwards and sort of transitioning into that, I think is important. But also defensively making himself useful, like being active enough to be not so detrimental next to Gobert. Right. Like obviously he's a little bit out of position. This isn't necessarily probably where Cat should be playing defensively or how he should be playing defensively, but it is what it is. And you're not going to take Gobert off the floor for defense. So, himself finding ways to impact the game on that end, I think is really important for this team.
Yeah, I went with Cat too because I remember seeing a stat at the end of last season that said basically the Timberwolves had a better offensive rating, and there was a couple other stats as well with Kyle Anderson and Naz Reid as the 4 and 5 than with Cat and Rudy Gobert.
That doesn't even surprise. Well, Cat got hurt last year.
Exactly, and that's big too because Cat only played in 29 games last year.
Right.
So like, can he kind of get back into the loop with Anthony Edwards being the main guy, and can they really figure out how to work this thing? Because last year they didn't have a big sample size of doing that. So I think that you could say that like Anthony Edwards is the X factor for that reason. You could say Rudy Gobert is the X factor for that reason. But I'm going to go with Karl Anthony Towns just because if he can add a little bit of perimeter defense, which he didn't have much of last year, obviously.
Yeah, just be like active.
Yeah, exactly. Like just try. Move your feet. Give up closeout shots and maybe just try to not let guys blow by.
Yeah, don't miss rotations. Like there's so much.
You can just be decent enough. And I think that offensively we obviously know what he brings, and hopefully him and Gobert can kind of figure their thing out on the offensive side. But I think having Anthony Edwards is going to be what solves the problems, basically. Like, he's just that good. So.
Yeah, I'm really excited to watch. Like, there's so many players from his team that I'm intrigued by. Leonard Miller, the rookie, Jaden McDaniels.
Jaden McDaniels obviously is added into that core. Like, they brought in Shake Milton. Nikhil Alexander Walker was pretty good last year.
Nikhil Alexander Walker quite a bit. Yeah, it's just a bunch of players that I kind of believe in quite a bit.
They brought Troy Brown Jr. in, too. Yeah. What a pickup.
Former Wizard.
Yeah, and he was on Lakers last year. Okay, moving on to a team where I feel like this is a really hard one for picking the X factor. The New Orleans Pelicans. I'll give mine first.
Okay.
I thought about taking the LA Clippers route and picking Zion.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
He is the X factor.
He is, obviously. Like, if he plays, they're good. If he doesn't, they're bad.
Yeah.
I thought about taking Brandon Ingram for that same reason, because if Zion is out, the last, 30 games of the year post-All-Star game, Brandon Ingram last year was nuts. So, could he do that again all for an entire season? Who knows? I went with Trey Murphy the third, though. I think that's a popular one because, a lot of people are picking him to be, he's a most improved player, top, 10
Candidate.
guy, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
And
he's missing time at the start of the year, though.
Exactly, yeah. But last year, he averaged 31 minutes a game. Last year, he started 65 games.
One of the best shooters in the league.
One of the best shooters in the league. He played a lot because obviously Zion was hurt, and he filled in well. He averaged 14.5 points, 41% from three on 6.5 attempts. That is a pretty good volume shooter from a role player, basically. So if he can, everyone you talk to, too, the JJ Redick, he always says it on his podcast, but even guys that they bring on there, they talk so highly of Trey Murphy. A lot of people say that he's elite defensively and shooting wise. I'm interested to see who starts. Does he start or does Herb Jones start?
I think Trey starts.
Probably, right? Because he still brings it defensively.
I wouldn't consider him elite defensively, but he's more than passable, I think, and he's a really good athlete, and he's awesome in transition.
Would they ever start Zion at the 5, you think?
Yeah, I think that they would if they had to.
If Jonas just shows signs of regression.
Yeah, or if Jonas just missed games. I think that they'd try it. I'm a big Trey Murphy believer.
Yeah.
I think I think that he's one of the more underrated underrated guys as far as going forward and projecting forward. He's got a lot of untapped potential. I think he's from Cade's draft class.
Yeah.
I think he'd go top 10 in a redraft.
I think so too. Yeah,
he's that good. And I'm excited to watch him this season. Just excited to watch that team this season. I had a couple guys written down. I think Brandon Ingram's playmaking is something that I'm super intrigued by because that kind of really improved at the back end of last season, and that I think obviously just pairs well with what Zion wants to do. And when they play together, I think that there was some frustration, at least from watching it.
Right.
I would get frustrated, Ingram missed Zion on this cut. Oh, Ingram's got to get Zion the ball here. I think that Ingram has taken some leaps for me not to believe that will not be the case, or at least not to be as frustrating. But I actually went with Dyson Daniels. I think defensively, Dyson Daniels was one of the best. He's one of the best defensive rookies I've seen in a long time. Legitimately, I think as far as guards go, there's very few better on that end of the floor. And it's all about kind of the jump shooting and just offense in general being passable. He shot 40% from three in the preseason. Looked pretty good in the preseason in general. I think he's a really, really good cutter. I think that he's got a pretty fun synergy with Herb. Those two guys together, obviously awesome defensively, but also just kind of smart players on offense. Dyson's a pretty good passer. I think a lot of the reasons that I like Killian, I also like Dyson Daniels.
Yeah, I'd like that. I also have Dyson Daniels on my Dynasty basketball team. So
yeah.
I
drafted him my 20-man fantasy.
Oh, really? How did that go?
Pretty good. I got Killian started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You'd have to reach
LeBron
for him
in the first round in the 16th with the 16th pick.
Wow.
Yeah.
People hating on LeBron, dude.
I know.
He's a fantasy machine.
He is a fantasy machine, but it's not. It's how many games is he going to play?
That's
I think is a lot of it.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But
actually.
I'm excited to watch Dyson Daniels grow this year. Hopefully, he gets more chance to play.
And maybe there's a world where if CJ McCollum is just he can't be out there for defensive liabilities, maybe you have Dyson Daniels out there and you run or point Ingram maybe too, because that happened obviously a good amount.
Did happen. Point Zion has happened.
Point Zion has happened too. Yeah, so they have a lot of options if CJ can't, if he just falls off or something.
If there's they have a lot of backup plans.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay, New York Knicks. This one is really tough for me because they have so many dudes that are good, but who plays. So I decided to go with one of the top guys. I went to RJ Barrett as my X factor.
I wrote down 2, and RJ Barrett was one of them.
Because RJ Barrett obviously has regressed from 3 the last 2 seasons. He shot 40% his sophomore year. He shot 35 year 3, 31
the Eagles
year
just
4.
for Kevin Byard, bro.
What? Oh, that is terrible. That's actually such bad news.
It's horrible news.
Oh, why? Oh, man. News. What did they give up?
Terrell Edmonds in a 5th and a 6th.
Oh, Terrell Edmonds was just watching that baseball game with Swift, too, Swift. Man.
Yeah, that video was awesome.
That's poor. That's messed up, man. That series isn't even over yet. What if they're going to the next game?
I hope him and Swift go to the next game.
I hope so, too.
It was a goodbye.
Oh, man. Dude, that actually sucks, though, for NFC teams.
I have not felt as bad about the gap between us and the Eagles as I do right now.
No, especially after watching last night
saying.
And then watching us yesterday.
Exactly.
And then now adding Kevin Byard.
Yeah.
Dude, Byard's so underrated,
He's really good. He's been good for a long time.
Oh, wow, that sucks. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll have to talk more about that on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went with RJ Barrett because Like I said, he's regressed each year in 3, and he's one of the few guys.
He's regressed each year is such a horrible thing to say about a basketball player.
And he's from 3.
From 3, yeah. I know what you mean.
And you know, like when he shot 40% from 3 his sophomore year, and he did shot good in the playoffs too. It was like, whoa, RJ Barrett is like the future. Last year was really bad. He had a good series against the Cavs, but that was about it. And obviously we know Julius Randle like doesn't bring it come playoff time. But I just think with RJ Barrett being on like the max, obviously it's like 25 a year, I'm pretty sure, for the next couple of years. It seems like he like is the guy to get traded if like come like trade deadline he's not doing good. Like, yeah, exactly. Like they have so many picks. You had attached RJ Barrett with a bunch of hella picks for a star player.
Right.
Kind of seems like the guy. So that's why I picked RJ.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I guess I'm kind of out on RJ. I was never the biggest RJ believer, but I don't want to say I'm out because he is a good player. Like I'm out on him being like a potential all-star or something like that. I don't know. He just doesn't have touch.
You want to know a bad take about RJ that I had?
What?
Coming out of the draft, I said he'd be better than Zion.
Why would you think that?
I was a Zion hater.
Why?
I don't know, dude. I just was. Wow. It was bad. I was
so pro Zion.
It was just it was
I think
wrong.
I was kind of anti RJ though.
Really?
Like I just thought RJ was miles ahead.
I did really like Ja. I just thought that RJ was gonna be like this point forward like kind of dude.
Yeah.
Because like he basically was like the point guard at Duke.
He pissed me off so much.
Yeah.
Duke, dude.
But
he just wouldn't pass.
But he also
ball.
couldn't make free throws either.
He was. Oh my god. I remember him against Michigan State.
Oh yeah.
And I was watching and I was like, thank God he's not just giving Zion the ball.
Yeah.
Dude. Thank the Lord.
That was that's one of my favorite games. That's what I got that sign of Kenny Goins hitting that 3 over
Kenny
Zion,
Goins,
man. That's one of the best moments of my life.
Blast
dude.
from the past.
Yeah, it is. Anyways, though, New York Knicks X Factor.
Yeah, I went with Julius Randle.
Yeah.
Basically for what you said. He's never been good in the playoffs, and like it's time. The offense is super reliant on Randle. This was a top 5 offense in the league last year, being super reliant on Randle. And Randle just like isolating
a game.
Yeah, and he just letting them fly, shooting step backs and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but it just hasn't translated to the postseason at all. No. Like not even a little bit.
And last year he was dealing with an injury in the playoffs, but like, how much do we believe that? You know, because like
he definitely was a little bit injured, but like,
he
was so bad
the year before,
no,
even,
he was
or 2 years ago. So it's like,
yeah, it's got to happen. He's got to bring it in the playoffs at some point, I think, and yeah, that's why he's the X factor. Like this team only goes as far as he can take them.
Yeah.
If he's a nothing in the playoffs, then they're not going to win anything.
Exactly. I do really like the Knicks team. Like
Me too. I
talked
love
about
their
it on the radio.
depth.
Like I'm really high on the Knicks. I do think that they could go on like a conference finals run with how good they are. I don't know about finals run. Like I could like if they played the Bucks in the semifinals, like they have a chance to beat them.
You think so?
Like I don't think they do, but they just have enough dudes to throw at Dame and to throw at Giannis.
They have a lot of dudes throw at Dame.
And if
sure.
Brunson can just like get buckets, like
Brunson's
he does in the playoffs, like
Yeah.
I don't think they do win, but like I'm not like Bucks and 4. Like it's definitely like a series. You know, that's kind of where I'm at with the Knicks.
Yeah,
but I'm a bit high on them. Maybe. So, okay. The Oklahoma City Thunder. How many teams we got left here? We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more teams left. We're over 2 hours into this thing. This is crazy, bro.
So we spent 2 hours on 20 teams.
Yeah. So we have another hour.
Go another hour.
Yeah, probably. Okay. But we did spend the first like 40 minutes not even talking about this at all.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Okay, but the OKC Thunder. Who do you got?
I have 2. So I'll let you go first.
Okay.
And maybe you take one of mine.
I feel like it just has to be Chet.
All right, yeah, that's one of mine.
Because
that's why I let you go first.
The center play from this team has been like the only part that's like missing. You know, it's been like JRE and like Mike Muscala, Poku, like small ball Baisley. Like they have had like a bunch of, and even Kenrich Williams like run small, play the 5.
Yeah.
So like they definitely just adding Chet Holmgren. He raises, even him. He raises the floor and ceiling of this team like an absurd amount. Like I'm really excited to watch him because their whole starting 5, that young core together. Like Chet could make this team elite defensively because they already have pretty good perimeter defenders. Obviously,
it was top 15 last year.
Exactly,
without a center.
Exactly. Like this could be a top 5 defense. Like with the shot blocking ability of Chet.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how we'll see how good of like a rebounder he can be right away because this OKC team wasn't a great rebounding team because they
no big.
Exactly. But like Josh Giddey, he is one of the better rebounding guards in the NBA.
The J-Dub, the better
J-Dub, exactly. The better, yeah. So I think Chet that's why I got him as the X factor.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's more than fair. And like you meant, like their defense can be as good as he makes them. And I think that he's one of the best defensive prospects ever, and he looked awesome in the preseason on that end of the floor. And he's another guy like similar to Porzingis, where it's like you have to treat it like you have to guard him out there.
Yeah,
like you have to contest, you have to close
definitely
out, and he can put it on the floor. And I think watching him
he's
drive
tough
the
to
basketball,
guard.
yeah, I think watching him drive, like his drives have really stood out to me throughout this summer and throughout the preseason. So him continuing to do that and him continuing to grow because he is still so young, but he's also really polished. And I really like Chet. But I went with Micic.
Oh, okay.
I
thought about picking Vezenkov for the Kings. But...
Yeah, I picked Vezenkov.
Okay, spoiler.
So just an offensive punch off the bench, like on a different level from like a Trey Mann or something. He shot 45% from 3 in the EuroLeague while winning MVP. He can post up.
Is he like 30?
He can post
How
up
old
as guard.
is he?
Yeah, I think he's 29.
I thought he was the older one.
Maybe Vezenkov is 28.
One of them is like,
one of them is.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
I think both of them might be.
They might, yeah,
I'm
they
pretty
probably
sure. I think they both
are.
because I think Vezenkov is 28. Vezenkov is 28. I wrote that down. Anyway, but yeah, Micic is like an unbelievable passer, an unbelievable shooter. He's like the quintessential EuroLeague. Like when you think of a European guard coming over to the NBA at 28 years old or whatever he is, you think of Micic like at the highest level. So I'm really excited to watch him play. I don't know a ton about his game. He's 29. Yeah. I don't know like a ton about his game. Like I haven't watched full Micic games or anything, but just from what I've read and what I watched in the preseason, I guess I did watch full Micic games in the preseason. But from what I read and what I saw in the preseason, I'm excited.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, like that's a guy I just like don't know that much about. Like I picked up Vezenkov in. I guess I did see that, obviously. Yeah. I picked up Vezenkov in my Dynasty Basketball League, though. So I watched my queue. I watched a lot of film of his in EuroLeague.
Vezenkov?
That dude is fun, dude. He just
runs, lets it fly.
He just runs around and catches and shoots it, dude. Like that is he's fun to watch.
He's got a burner.
He is a Sacramento King. Like he fits that team for sure. Like imagine him coming off of a Sabonis dribble handoff, dude.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I wrote this down.
Exactly. But I have not watched much Micic, so I'm definitely like that. I'm just excited to see how much he plays because this team still has a bunch of young dudes that like Usman Zhang. How much does he play?
I have no idea.
Trey Mann, does he even get minutes this year?
I don't think so.
Exactly. Like there's Cason Wallace. Does he get minutes?
I hope so.
I hope so too. But where are they at? You know,
probably.
like how big is Micic? Like 6'3"?
I think
he's like a guard, right? I guess I
have
him pulled up right here.
6'5".
He's 6'5". Yeah. Okay. So he definitely is a bigger guard. So yeah, we'll see. I didn't know he was picked in the draft. He was picked in the 2014 second round.
Some years ago. So was Vezenkov.
Really? Vezenkov was too?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yep.
See, you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the Orlando Magic. I think this is a good one, a lot similar to the OKC Thunder because there's just so many intriguing guys that you could choose from out of this young core. Who did you pick?
I went Jalen Suggs.
I also picked Jalen Suggs. That's crazy. Out of all the guys, we both picked the same.
That's why we're locked in.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. Yeah, well, okay. Jalen Suggs, I think Suggs is a potentially elite defensive player. Like, if he gets the opportunity to be so, if he can stay on the floor enough. He kind of just makes the right plays offensively. He's a smart basketball player, both ends. You got Ant Black and Jet Howard waiting in the wings, so I think that he might have a little bit of a short leash as far as just playing time goes.
Yeah.
Can he shoot well enough to keep Jet and Black off the court?
Yeah, that's huge.
Can he just do enough as a creator? Because that is kind of like he's not a creator. Like that's not what he does at the NBA level. He's not creating offense for himself much at all. Not doing a ton for others outside of in transition, but just does all the little things right. Smart cutter, unbelievable defensive player, can run in transition, kind of like a pocket Asar. I think is how I described Jalen Suggs. But he's limited in ways that like Jet definitely isn't because this team probably needs shooting, and Jet Howard is the best shooter of the prospects that they have for sure. So I don't know. Can he do enough to warrant starting him as the 2 guard?
Yeah, I thought about doing Franz just because of like the can he be the best player type thing.
I love Franz,
which is definitely like Franz. Like I think top 3 from that draft class, like we mentioned earlier, like is locked. Like Mobley, Cade, Franz.
Yeah,
you know,
agreed.
I think it's definitely those. Like maybe. No, that is definitely those 3.
I think it's those
for
2 too. Scotty. Yeah. Scotty fans will have something to say.
I'm not like a dude.
No, I think Franz is better than Scotty though.
I think I'd take Jalen Green over Scotty.
Me too. Yep.
Yeah,
I think I would as well. Trey Murphy.
You taking Giddy over both of them?
I'd probably take
Giddy
over Scotty.
I'm taking Giddy over Scotty.
I think I'm taking.
I'll probably still take Jalen Green though.
Me too.
But anyways, I picked. I just love Jalen Suggs, dude. Like, he is such a good defender. He's so fun to watch.
Yep.
The way I watched a random highlight tape, you might have seen this because I feel like we see all the same things on Twitter.
Maybe.
This was like a while ago, though. It was a highlight tape of Cole Anthony transition dunks from this past year, which was just like such a random thing. It was just
He
like
had
a Magic
cool dunks.
fan.
I don't
tweeted
remember
it.
seeing a video.
But I watched the video. It was like 2.5 minutes long.
Suggs is
and
throwing
a good 70% of them were caused off
High
of
school
a
quarterback.
Jalen Suggs like steal, basically. And so then I just got into a rabbit hole of like watching Suggs like defensive highlights.
yeah.
And he was just like he's that dude.
That sounds like a Saturday right there.
Exactly.
Baby.
So I feel like if Suggs like really can just be competent offensively, he didn't play as much last year as he did his rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Cole Anthony kind of is the odd man out of this Magic
so?
core.
I don't know who.
But
I think
maybe it's Suggs though.
It might be Suggs.
Yeah,
Cole
it
was
might
pretty
be.
good last year.
He was, but I just feel like
He
they
gets
love
better every year.
Fultz, dude, and Anthony Black
I
being
think
added.
Fultz is good.
Like they added basically 2 guards. Like I know Jet is a wing.
He's a
but
wing,
like,
kind of, but more two guard.
It's going to be interesting to see like who falls out because after this year, one of them's got to go. Cole Anthony's up for a new contract anyway, so
yeah, you got to start sorting those guys out this year.
Yeah,
I
think so too.
You're kind of on the clock with that.
And you still have like good, like Gary Harris is probably still going to play a good amount. Like he was pretty good last year for this team.
Definitely
so
could.
I just hope that Suggs has a role because if he does, I think he could be pretty good. All right, moving on to another top team.
I forgot they got Joe Ingles.
Yeah, they did get Joe Ingles, and they got.
He'll probably play.
Yeah, that was pretty random that they brought him in. Okay, another top team, Western Conference, the Phoenix Suns. I have one, and then I have like one that is just better than the other one, if that makes any sense.
It doesn't.
Okay, well, you want me to say it then?
Go
I
for it.
originally wrote Nurkic.
Okay, yeah.
Because
Same.
can he be the defensive big? And then I was like, no, he's not going to be the defensive big.
Did you write Bull?
I wrote Drew Eubanks.
Okay, good.
No, I know how much you hate Bull.
I don't hate Bull. No. I love Bull. I just know that he's not good.
Yes.
But I think he is.
Who's a better
an incredibly
NBA
fun
player, James Wiseman or Bull?
I mean, Bull can shoot.
James Wiseman can hit a post hook.
Yeah, James Wiseman can hit a post hook. You're right. I'll go Bull.
Yeah,
but, you know,
three's better than 2, I guess.
Yeah,
He has cooler highlights. You got to
way
give him
cooler
that,
highlights.
Yeah. But I went with
name.
Drew Eubanks because I thought, okay, can he be the defensive big when they realize Nurkic isn't and they just bench him in crucial moments? So that's kind of why I picked Eubanks. Maybe it'll be Chemezi Metu. Who knows? Maybe they'll go small.
I don't think it'll be Metu.
Keita Bates, Diop. I'm just picking Eubanks.
Katie at the 5.
This is just like a bad one though. Like I just
Yeah.
like
I like Eubanks. I think Eubanks is better than Nurkic. I think he's definitely better defensively.
Year,
They
yeah.
were on the same team last year. Yeah, Eubanks is really switchable. I think that's kind of his the flavor that he adds. I think that could be really interesting with like all the stuff that all the guys that they have. But I don't know. We haven't really seen them in that type of defense. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see how Booker and those guys hold up. But I think Eubanks is clearly better than Nurkic personally.
yeah.
But I also wrote Nurkic because it does seem like Nurkic is going to play quite a bit.
And it seems like their success is pretty reliant on him. Obviously, it's reliant on the big 3, but then
Yeah.
like Nurkic is right there.
Yeah, I think a lot of it also comes down to Vogel trying to figure out ways to make Nurkic.
He's a great
useful.
defensive coach so far in his NBA career.
Yeah, I
so
think that if
hopefully
he can just
scheme it.
if he can just get Nurkic in all the right spots, then there you go.
Yeah.
But you know, can they do the thing? Like, is this a spot where Nurkic's skills can shine? Can his passing sort of show up and his screening sort of show up?
And he's a good rebounder. Got to give Nurkic that.
Nobody rebounds their own misses like Yusuf Nurkic and Andre Drummond.
Yeah, Drummond, definitely Drummond. So, okay, moving on to a team that had a lot make moves with Phoenix this offseason. Guys that coming from Portland.
Yep.
Or it's Portland.
Yeah, it's Portland.
Who do you got on the Portland Trailblazers?
I just went with Shaden. I think is the most intriguing guy. I thought
Yeah.
about just going like Scoot or whatever, but figured that was a little bit easy. And I'm excited for a lot of parts of this team, but Shaden in particular, I think is the most interesting because I'm not quite sure. I like Shaden a lot. I'm not quite sure that I know exactly what he is because there's a lot that he still has to get better at. There's a lot that he still has to refine. The handle's pretty bad right now. I think that's probably priority number 1 is him figuring out just being able to dribble through traffic and stuff like that because he is so explosive. If he can match that with like a good handle, then it's going to be tough to stay in front of him. And he's an incredible shooter. I think that he probably generally projects as being an off-ball guy, but if he can sort of add some of those chops as far as being on the ball, maybe you can run a pick and roll with him from here and there. Like, could he be a guy that in the future is like sort of relieving Scoot Henderson if necessary?
Right.
I don't know that it's not there right now, but maybe he can get there. I also want to see what he becomes defensively because like freak athlete,
should be a good defender.
insanely long arms. Like there's a ton of reasons to believe that he could be a defender. Like he does definitely have the tools for it, but it's still theoretical.
I wonder who starts for the Blazers this year.
I think he's got to.
Because you think he starts at the 3,
Brogdon
obviously,
comes off the bench.
and that's like Brogdon is the big one. Like, does he start? But like, who would he start over? You know, like Scoot and Simons are locks.
Yeah, I would start Shaden.
You're not going to start
over Scoot
Brogdon with the 2 guards. So yeah, I feel like it's got to maybe they start Matisse Thybulle for some defense.
They might.
But
They played him quite a bit last year.
But if you start, but also like, does Robert Williams start at the 4? Or no, they have
That'd be
Jeremy Grant. I
interesting.
totally forgot
They
about
have
Jeremy
Jeremy
Grant. So maybe Jeremy Grant starts at the 3, and they start 2 of the bigs. Who knows? That probably won't
That'd be
happen.
wild.
But
I don't know. I mean, Simons came off the bench some last year.
yeah, he did. You're right. So
I think.
we'll see.
Pretty sure.
But I'm gonna go with DeAndre Ayton as my X factor for Portland.
It's a good one.
I think Ayton is a good pick for MIP. If Ayton goes from like 20,
Could be.
because he averaged 18 and 10 last year, if he averages like 23,
Did he
and
average 20
11
his rookie season?
Ah, that's a good question.
I think he might have.
He might have. So like it's not,
Before
and he obviously was a
Chris
first
Paul
overall
went there.
pick, but he's not your typical first overall pick. We kind of know what he is at this point.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
Like no one thinks he's gonna take an all-star leap. I feel like, and maybe he could. So that's why I'm gonna pick him, just because he's in a role now where like he never really has had this chance to be like potentially could score a lot offensively. Like he's been with Booker and now obviously KD. Like he's not been like, he has a chance to be the top scoring option this year for the Blazers. I don't know if he will be, but I think that Ayton like has a chance to maybe take an all-star leap this year. I don't like him like that much, but he has the chance.
I think this is a guy where it's like, all right, it's good he's in a new environment.
Yes, totally. He needed this.
Yeah.
And that's why he was so excited about the trade.
Right. It does dominating. He seems very excited.
Exactly. Okay, we have 5 teams left, starting with the Sacramento Kings. You already gave it away who yours is, so go ahead and talk about him.
Pull it up. My man Vezenkov.
Yep.
Sasha Vezenkov, 28-year-old rookie. Was reading about his game, watching some of the clips that I could find. Basically, he can pass and he can cut and create a little bit, but he's prone to fucking taking a game over from 3.
Yeah.
Like he is prone to just absolutely throwing the entire game plan out of the window, being like, hey man, go set a pin down for Vezenkov and let's get him the rock and let him fire away from wherever he touches it. Can he be like passable on defense so that you can so that you can have that kind of, so
with
you can
also
have
like
that wrinkle.
Herder and Fox are also out there.
Like they'll probably, he is 6'9", so it's different from Herder. Like I think that conceivably they could play him as like a small ball 4, and that could be really, really fun. But again, defensively, I think that there is some. Mike Brown even talked about it. Like, hey, the thing that's holding him back right now from being a lock in the rotation is the defense.
Yeah,
he's just got to be able to stay in front of guys, and that's a question. But this is a team that had the greatest offensive rating of all time. Like this is. And they'll probably need to stay atop the league's offenses to be, up near the top of the West again. I think a lot of people expect them to sort of fall back. I think a lot of people expect them to regress quite a bit, and I understand why. But I think if like Vezenkov really hits and this dude's just like hitting 3 threes a game at a ridiculously high percentage, and he's once or twice, once every other week or something like that, he gives you 27 off the bench. I think that'd be really fun.
That would be. I'm super excited to watch him play. The Kings are in a weird spot because I don't know if I'm gonna go over under or not on the Kings, just because like. They had a pretty ideal season last year.
Yes, it was perfect.
Like, no one really got hurt.
Nope.
Like, Fox was elite. Sabonis was elite.
They were winning a bunch of close games.
Yeah, like, so, but also, like, I think that they should be good again this year. Like, I don't think everything is just going to go wrong. But I could see, do you know what their over-under is? I haven't even, like, looked at them yet.
I thought it was, like, high 40s.
I was going to say, it's probably not quite at 50, I bet.
No,
but
I don't think so.
But anyways, I picked one that I'm not, like, super happy with, I guess.
Okay.
I picked Davion Mitchell, just because, like, Can he finally establish himself as, one, a part of this rotation, but 2, as like the true defensive hound on the team?
Yeah.
Like, can he be the Steph Curry stopper in the playoff series? Like last year, it was a lot of Keegan Murray and a lot of Harrison Barnes chasing around Steph Curry. Not that those guys can't do it, but like,
and Davion did it some.
He did, but like, can he start with De'Aaron Fox and guard Steph Curry basically all of Steph Curry's minutes? Is kind of like how I'm viewing things. Because Kevin Herter, like, obviously we know he's not the greatest defender in the world. Good, like, he's a good player for sure, and fits that Kings team. But I just think that if Mitchell can kind of, like, he took another step back in minutes per game from year 1 to year 2. Obviously, it was a new coaching staff and everything, so that has a lot to do with it. But if he can kind of get him back into this rotation to where he's getting 20-plus minutes per game and brings enough offensively where he's playable to be that defensive hound, I think that would help them out a lot. To be the true perimeter defender guy.
For sure. I think, the defense isn't very good on that team. Just straight up, it's not a very good defense. And
they just outscore you.
That's why I kind of want to see the Vezenkov thing, because it just leans into what they are.
It really
just
does,
like pace and space, letting it fly, shoot.
Yeah.
Scoring a lot of points, not worried about the other end so much. I'm super excited
to watch him play,
Me too.
All right, moving on to the
beam.
San Antonio Spurs. Is there a more obvious X Factor pick?
No, that's why I didn't pick him.
Okay.
Because I thought that.
See, I wrote Wemby, and then
I mean, he's the most intriguing thing in the league.
Else, yeah.
Like he's the most interesting play. Like, there's nobody I'm more excited to watch at all.
Exactly.
Than
like,
Wembanyama.
at first, I was kind of pissed that they have, like, 30-some national TV games. It was like 14, I think. I was like, that's crazy. They're the worst team in the league. And then I'm watching him in preseason. I'm like, dude, he needs to be on ESPN every night. Like, every single game.
He's must watch. I just hope he plays, like, a lot of those games.
I hope so, too.
Like, because it does get sort of, I don't know, like, not that I won't watch, because, like, I watch some Spurs, like, I watch every team, but
like, you just don't really want to
you don't
watch.
care.
I'd rather watch the
much.
Jazz.
Exactly. They would never be, like, shoot to the top of the list.
Yeah,
them,
totally.
Basically.
So who'd you pick other than Wemby?
I went with Keldon Johnson because that's another guy where it's just like, I don't feel like I have a great feel for what he is as a player.
Right.
And like, I watched some last year and stuff, but like, I don't know that I feel super confident just in my evaluation of him, I guess. From what I can tell, like he can score a little bit, create a little bit, but was extremely overtaxed last year trying to be like the number one option for a lot of the season.
I picked
that's
him
just
as
not
my
what
MIP
he is.
going into
did you?
last season. Did not work.
Yeah, no, but I understand why. Like, I thought, he's definitely got the frame to be a really good defender. Probably he's not really there yet.
Right.
But I do think he could get there. It's just a matter of, hey, like setting his mind to it, and having Wembanyama behind anybody will help them a lot on that end. So,
especially with the lineup they're going to run out, like if he can be like a good 3-point shooter, that helps a lot.
They need some more shooting. I think, so.
For sure. Like Doug McDermott, low-key might have to end up starting just to help them out a little bit. Yeah. I did go with Jeremy Sohan just because of like
that's a good one too.
Like he's playing point guard. Like, is that really something that is actually going to be like a real thing? You know, obviously they're going to try it, but like, is it something we try or is it something we do? And so that's why I'm pretty excited to see, because if it is something that they do,
that'd be fun.
So fun.
That'd
like
fun.
I love watching that because Vassell is kind of like he's kind of just like that shot chucker guy of the group. Like he becomes that guy.
That was kind of me. That was kind of
not
negative.
like in a bad way, but like he's just gonna
he's the scorer. That's
what I'm saying. Like he's
the
the guy that's gonna get up the most shots, and he's gonna be probably the ball. Like because Sohan's a point guard, he's not creating off pick and roll. Like that's where
probably
I think Vassell comes.
I tweeted months ago. I was like, when we were about to hire Kevin Ollie, I tweeted like, Kevin Ollie trying to stop, or like using prayers to stop a Sohan Wembanyama big pick and roll.
Yeah, like that would be terrible. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, that's why I picked Sohan, just because I'm excited to see how that works basically, and if it does work,
I should have picked that.
It'd be really fun if it does work. So.
Defensively, I think that could be a nightmare.
Exactly, because he's like Vanderbilt. He's just like a guy that
sort of like there's like a way, like he just has an energy about him where he just kind of pops off.
And him and Wemby
sometimes.
like are already like they're linked in, like they got the same hair stuff. Like that's pretty cool. So, all right, 3 teams left. The Toronto Raptors, one of the worst teams that I like. I don't like talking about the Raptors.
There might not be a team that I'm less interested in watching probably right now. Like, and that's I'll watch everybody if I can, but I don't know. The Raptors just don't move me like that.
Yeah.
I went with Scotty Barnes.
I did too.
I think that we need to get a better understanding of Scotty Barnes.
He had the same exact year 2 as he had year 1.
Yeah, I think that
like stats wise.
Right, stats wise. Yeah, I think that he added some stuff year 2.
He had more playmaking in year 2.
A little bit more playmaking. I think that he got better as like a post up guy. But just kind of like, I think the Raptor, like, not only for my sake and understanding what he is, but the Raptors' sake, how to build around this guy. Like, because at some point you got to transition from the sort of Siakam era.
And you kind of are also figuring out, like, is he the guy you're building around? Like,
I think so too.
Is that really the option?
I think so too. But it's also a different coaching staff, so they might empower him in different ways, have him doing different things. I think that he could be a really fun, like, handoff hub in the high post, maybe a little bit of a matchup problem for smaller wings in the low post. I just think his growth on offense is going to be really, really important for them trying to, again, transition away from kind of past school ball that they were playing last year where it felt like he was doing everything.
I think that, like, Point Scotty could be, like, they could try that out this year. Obviously, they lost Fred VanVleet. Like,
they kind of tried that sometimes.
It has happened, but, like, maybe with the new staff, they want to try things out. Gary Trent, obviously, is probably the odd man out of the starting lineup at this point after they got Jakob Poeltl. So... Yeah. Yeah, I just went with Scotty Barnes because it's like, can he establish himself as the franchise guy? Because after year 1, it was like, he is. And then after last year, it was like, well, maybe not. Right. So it's like going into year 3, can he get back to like, oh, yeah, we're still building around him. And we know the blueprint to that.
Yeah, no question he's a good player. Yeah. I just think you got to figure out sort of what's the next step here around him.
Like, is he this untouchable asset like Masai Ujiri says he is?
I think all of Masai's assets
I guess OG also is too. So.
OG is super untouchable.
All right, the Utah Jazz. This is a really
fun one.
This is a really fun one.
It's a fun one.
I know you tweeted out a little bit ago. I saw it, like, what is the Jazz lineup about to look like?
Yeah,
like,
who what's their rotation?
That's
How
a great
is the minutes
question.
allocation?
Because I wrote down a guy that might not even play in the whole rotation.
Yeah, okay, I'm curious to see who here it is. But like, yeah, they got these 3 rookies, 3 first-round picks, 3 guys that I like a lot, honestly, and we don't really know much about what this team's going to look like outside of like Markkanen and Kessler and obviously, some of the starters, but it feels like there's a lot of guys vying for a few minutes. It's a weird
John
mix.
Collins is just on this team now.
Sitting in the corner, it's odd. But I went with Keontae George.
Yeah.
Because I think he has a chance to just take over this starting point guard job for the next decade. I think that he could come out here and within the first couple of weeks be like, hey, I'm just better than Colin Sexton. Like I'm just straight up better right now, and I'm a better passer, and I can get to the line, and I can get to the rim, and I can shoot threes, which I think all could be true.
Definitely.
He looked unbelievable in Summer League.
He really did.
And I remember watching him at Baylor, and it was like pretty up and down.
It really
was. I questioned a little bit.
Baylor's whole season was really up and down last year.
Yeah. When I was watching him, I questioned a little bit. I was like, I don't know. Does he create enough like separation for me to believe that he can just be like a pure scorer at the next level? That was my question. But then in Summer League, he was creating a ton of space, and he was getting to the rim at ease. He just looked quicker. Like, he just looked more athletic at Summer League. Like, I don't know, did he lose weight or something? That's legit what it felt like. So I'm kind of all in on Keontae George being a real guy that they kind of stole later in the draft than he should have went, just because I think he got better.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. I'm going with a guy that is going to compete with him for that starting point guard job. I'm going with Chris Dunn. Because I think that Chris Dunn last year at the end of the season, he was balling, had a career
defensively. He is,
and he's always brought that to the table. But it's he's just not great offensively.
He started shooting it a little bit.
Exactly. Like last year, this is a very small sample size, 22 games. But in those 22 games, he averaged career high 13.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 47% from 3 on 1.5 attempts. So that's
small.
That's 43 pointers put up basically.
Small sample,
but it's definitely
promising.
Still it's something. He definitely I think he definitely is going to be in the conversation. I think it's kind of obvious that Colin Sexton just ain't a point guard.
Yeah, probably not.
At least on if you're trying to compete. If you're not, then it's whatever. He probably still end up starting. I really don't know if because Clarkson started last year for the first time as a Jazz. So
as a Jazz,
that sounds really weird. So now that he's
Jazz man,
does he go back to the bench? Who knows? The starting lineup's really weird, but I think if Dunn does start, he can still solidify himself as I'm in
that'd
this
be something.
League. I'm a
that'd
player
be cool.
in the NBA.
That'd be cool. Yeah, he's a fun player.
He is.
Just defensively, I think. He really does. Yeah. He really gets after it.
I'm a Chris Dunn fan for sure.
I'm really excited to watch Bryce Sensabaugh.
Yeah.
That was my guy.
Does he play?
That was my guy, one of my guys in the draft that I had higher.
Ohio State, obviously, 2 years ago, I loved Malachi Branham.
Yes, they're kind of similar.
That's kind of what I thought. So with Sensabaugh, I wasn't as high.
I think Sensabaugh's just a better shooter.
I think he is too, and he was also that situation was different because at Ohio State he was their best player, and with Malachi Branham he was part of a duo with EJ Liddell. So it was that's why I think Sensabaugh I did start to lean towards him because he was he had all the pressure on him basically at Ohio State.
But he still shot 40% on pull-up threes.
Exactly,
it was all the numbers that were just ridiculous. AJ Griffin type stuff, kind of. And it was just how's this guy going to fall? He's a little chubby, don't get me wrong.
He's definitely not the quickest guy.
No, definitely not.
He's got a weird
He's
build.
not going to get to the rim. But
he's 6'6", right?
Yeah, he's 6'6" and a little bit. But he'll put his shoulder into your chest and you'll move because he's a big dude. He's a big, strong guy.
They have
he's
12 guys
Mello
that
build.
all should play.
He's got the Nuggets Mello build. He's
that.
a little bit doughy.
He does, yeah.
But he's a bucket.
He'll still get buckets.
He's a bucket,
exactly,
man.
and that's all that matters.
Nice Bryce Sensabaugh.
Yeah. All right, the last team, the Washington Wizards. Who is the most intriguing player on the Wizards?
Dude.
Who are we wrapping it up with?
What a horrific team.
Yeah, we should have done the Pistons last or something.
I want Johnny Davis. I didn't know who to pick.
I thought about that.
I don't know, he put together some games at the end of last season. Now, past game 76, if your young player plays good in the NBA, great, dude, all of them do.
Yeah,
everybody's got a
Chris
game.
Dunn, I guess.
Everybody's got a little bit. But everybody's got an awesome game 79 from a young player that they believe in.
Yeah. Kenny Lofton
but
Jr.
Yeah, he's probably got the best one. But Davis is a pretty good defender. That should help get him on the floor a little bit. I don't know. He wasn't a guy that I loved in college, I'll say, or loved coming into the draft. Really, I know a lot of people did. And, I understand, obviously. But just, I don't know, can the shot creation be good enough? Can the shooting be good enough? Like, what is he kind of?
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
Why could he not even get out of like the G League last year?
Is he a point guard? Is he?
I don't
a wing?
think so. I think he's just kind of like an off guard,
right?
You know, I think that's
which he was. He wasn't drafted to be a point guard, but like all the talks like coming into his rookie year was like, yeah, he's about to play point guard.
Yeah, it was weird. Year. It was weird, and he had like I don't know. He just had he's had a rough go of it up to this point. I'm hoping that he can be like, hey, you know, not all hope is lost. I'm not going to Beijing to play basketball.
I went with another like the last like star here. I went with Jordan Poole.
Okay.
Can he prove? Because obviously he had times in Golden State where like Steph Curry was out and like wow, like Jordan Poole as a number one option is fun.
No doubt.
Can that win? Can that be part of winning? And I think that is a question that we might not know the answer to this year because the Wizards just aren't going to be like great in general.
They won't win.
But if Jordan Poole legit averages like 27 points per game, which I think is totally capable of happening, maybe even closer to 30. Like if he does that, is it bad? Is it a bad product like the Wizards team? That's kind of how I feel. Like I'm excited to answer that question by the end of the year because I don't think it's a doubt that he's going to average 25 a game. Like I would be shocked if he averages under 25 points per game this year. So it's like, does it look bad? Does Corey Kispert still get his looks? You know, does Kuzma still? Does the defense be all right? Like that's just what I'm excited for. I'm excited to see if he starts with Tyus Jones or not because I think that could help him out a lot. But yeah, I'm excited to see like it's more of just a Wizards as a general. Like as Poole being the number one, how does that work?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean he can shoot, like he can score.
He's another guy that's in most improved talks.
Yeah, I mean he's going to get a lot of opportunity to score.
Even though he almost won it like 2 years ago. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know. I'll probably watch a little bit more Wizards than most. I think.
Yeah. We talked about it on the radio too, like I think the Wizards are going to be like more than 20. What was it, like 24? Yeah, like they're winning 25 games.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I don't know. We didn't even, but like Koulibaly is gonna be sick. I really like him. He looks really good in the preseason. He's flying around.
Avdija just got paid too.
Avdija just got paid.
$455, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, really good defensive player. Just a good defensive player.
He was getting pissed at Jordan Poole already.
He was getting pissed at Jordan Poole. That'll be something to watch early on.
It's a bit early for that to be happening, but.
Seems like people don't enjoy playing with Jordan.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't seem like.
I don't want to.
And that's kind of why I'm like, oh, is it going to work out or not?
Yeah,
who knows?
I think that's fair.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up this very long 2.5 hour episode, and that I'm adding the 15 minutes I talked about.
Invite me to your show.
What did you say?
Oh
yeah.
Just so you
know. Now that like I should have given a warning that this was going to be long because I honestly didn't think it was going to be this long though.
No,
but it's fine. I mean,
thought when I was like just writing stuff down, and I didn't take very many. No, honestly, most of them were just a player.
Same. I wrote like one line basically.
Yeah, basically same. But I was like just and like when I got to like team 20 or whatever, I was like, there's gonna be a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, we spent so much before we even started. Yeah. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you to Matt once again for joining the show. And like I said, I'm going to link everything, but check us out on 101.1 The Beat, Wednesdays 8 to 10, Fridays 1 to 3. And we're out. Peace.
Hell yeah.